Chapter 545. Qingya pounded her chest with her small fists. Yihua, how can you doubt me like this? Yihua rubbed his wife's back and was speechless. All right, I'm jealous, all right? Yihua said helplessly. Coaxing my wife is really a technical job. It would be embarrassing if I don't have some special skills. We have been through so many things. Do you still not understand me? I am also slowly changing for you. Qingya said while choking with sobs. Actually, Qingya was also under a lot of pressure when she did that kind of thing. Yihua said lightly. And I know I am narrow-minded. You scoundrel, you only know how to bully me. When our son comes out, I will let our son teach you a lesson. You only know how to bully your mother. If he dares, I will smack his butt until it becomes swollen. Yihua said in disdain. Can't you just give in to me? Seriously. Yihua caressed Qingya's long hair. Alright, don't be angry anymore. If Ali sees you crying like this, your image will be ruined. It's all your fault. Qingya wiped away the tears on the corner of her eyes. Alright, it's all my fault. Looking at Yihua's helpless look, Qingya laughed. This is truly a man that I love and hate at the same time. I am going to fall into his hands for my entire life. Just by coaxing him like this, everything will be fine. Let's go back and rest first. I haven't had the chance to hug you properly these few days. And Yihua hugged onto Qingya's waist and walked towards the bedroom. There is nothing more to see in this martial arts competition. As for that Chen Xuanzong who was peeking at them, I will find a chance to kill him in the future. How can you think about my woman? Chen Xuanzong was indeed peeking at them from afar. When he saw Qingya crying, his heart was about to bleed. However, when he saw that Long Outyin coaxing Qingya with sweet words, he felt even more upset. As expected, this Long Outyin is still the most flirtatious character. He will never change. Just you wait, Long Outyin. Sooner or later, I will take your life and let Qingya see your true face. Then I will take advantage of the situation and get the beauty back. For the next 2 days, the competition was still going on. The South could be considered to have a complete victory, while the North was getting more and more depressed. Even the clan heads of the aristocratic families had lost the competition. What else could they do? They could only watch as the Southerners fought for the final fruit. The Northerners placed all of their resentment onto Voidless Realm. What North-South martial arts competition? This was originally only the matter of the Northerners. It's one thing for you to hold a Northern martial arts competition, but why did you have to call the Southerners to fight with your own people? This is completely biased. In the blink of an eye, it was the last day of the competition. It was a sunny day, and the sky was clear. It was perfect for a family outing. Of course, it was like that for ordinary people, but for the North and South, it was a big day. The Southerners were fighting for the final ranking, while the Northerners were planning a shocking change. The atmosphere in the entire arena was very oppressive. This time, the number of casualties in the martial arts competition was not that exaggerated. Perhaps some people admitted defeat at the beginning, and everyone else admitted defeat because they could not beat them. This became the norm. The northern aristocratic families sitting below started to discuss in low voices. Yi Xiao, who was almost beaten into autism by Qi Shuwen, was also present. After all, they had something important to do today. This time, the queen has brought a total of 50 guards. It's not a lot, so we don't have to worry, Jiang Yuanzhou said in a low voice. Who's going to be the first one? Yi Xiao said faintly. Duan Ho said lightly. There's no need for us to do it. Those northerners' family heads will naturally not be able to hold themselves back from questioning them. Don't worry, everything has been arranged. We only need to move our lips. That's good then. Jiang Yuanzhou let out a breath. At this point, it was already too late to turn back. Chu He's expression was grave. I really want to report these unruly commoners. Meanwhile, on the viewing platform, there was only Donghuang Baizhi and Yi Hua. Qingya and Donghuang Li were waiting in the bedroom. After all, the scene that was going to be a bit bloody later on was not something that could be seen by children. In actuality, Donghuang Li knew what her parents were trying to do. Donghuang Li appeared to be very obedient, and didn't make a fuss. Donghuang Li was either accompanying Qingya's mommy, or chatting with her unborn little brother. Yi Hua said faintly, Baiji, it seems like the top 3 are all from the Southerners. That's right, in the entire North, there is only one person who managed to enter the top 10. His luck is rather good. Donghuang Baiji was helpless. This is clearly a trap set up for me. There are a lot of people who intentionally lose. From the looks of it, all of them are preparing to rebel. This Qi Shuwen and Xian Ba are pretty good, Yi Hua said faintly while looking at Qi Shuwen and Xian Ba who were on the stage. Right now, they were fighting for the first and second place. Donghuang Baiji laughed lightly. That's right, the first and second place of the martial arts competition this time is actually not those family heads, but this little family head. You hit it well. Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. Smart people aren't scary. What's scary are people who pretend to be stupid. After today, the North might be suppressed by the South. Donghuang Baiji was a bit melancholic, and her tone was filled with helplessness. Yi Hua let out a mouthful of smoke and said faintly, "It isn't that easy to be an empress. Sometimes I really don't want to be an empress anymore." Soon. Donghuang Baiji was a bit puzzled. What do you mean by soon? Yi Hua will eventually have to slaughter his way back to the south. That is the vast world. There is no need for me to be so restrained. On the stage, Qi Shuwen and Xian Ba were fighting in full swing, and Xian Ba was clearly having the upper hand. Seems like old Feng is indeed this valiant. Right now, Qi Shuwen felt one thing. The person in front of him isn't Xian Ba at all. Rather, he is more like an old man. Brother Qi, just admit defeat. Old Feng imitated Xian Ba's tone and said. Qi Shuwen was thinking about whether or not he should continue to overdraft his dragon Qi, but he felt that it wasn't worth it. The difference between the first and second place is 30 longevity fruits. Can these 30 longevity fruits be exchanged for those precious dragon Qi? It doesn't seem to be worth it. Thinking up to here, Qi Shuwen made a decision in his heart. He loosened his fist and cupped his hands, then said, "I admit defeat." After Qi Shuwen finished speaking, everyone in the south started applauding. Meanwhile, Yuquan stood up and shouted, "The champion of the martial arts competition this time belongs to the South's Xian family's family head, Xian Ba." Yuquan stood in the air and waved his hand, and Voidless Realm's Imperial Guard could be seen taking out the prizes. Longevity fruits. The longevity fruits were like bright red honey peaches, and were emitting out a delicious smell, causing everyone to salivate. And this Xian Ba had 100 longevity fruits. This is truly a lot. And this Qi Shuwen, he also had 70 longevity fruits. This time, all of the longevity fruits were divided up by the south. Looking at the delicious longevity fruits, the northerners couldn't sit still anymore, and seemed like they wanted to rush up and snatch the longevity fruits. And the south had already sensed it. Swords were already drawn on both sides. I refuse to accept this. Chapter 546. Everyone was shocked by this outburst. The southern family heads thought that they were dissatisfied with the result, and immediately started to clamor. A bunch of trash. Can't you just say that you can't accept it after being beaten? You should just go home and hug your wives to sleep. That's right. He came out to embarrass himself. He can't afford to lose. I was wondering how powerful the northern family head was, but it turns out that he's just SOO. On the battlefield, Qi Shuwen and Xian Ba kept their fruits of victory and returned to the southerners' side. They didn't want the northerners to suddenly go berserk and kill them. I'm not convinced either. I'm not convinced either. The entire north was continuously shouting out their inner thoughts, and it had even turned into a chorus of shouting. Everyone's gazes were all looking towards Donghuang Baiji, who was on the stage. At this moment, only then did the southerners know that the person they were unconvinced of was their own big shot, Voidless Realm. Sure enough, they still came. Ing Jingshan remained silent. Since his honor didn't say anything, I don't dare to act rashly either. The head of the northern aristocratic family laughed inwardly. Empress, today is the day you step down. Donghuang Baiji let out a light sigh. What is going to come will still come. This is something that cannot be avoided. Slowly standing up, Donghuang Baiji shouted out lightly, "Who are you guys unconvinced with?" "Against Voidless Realm." "Voidless Realm. We won't accept Voidless Realm." The northern clan heads were very excited and shouted with flushed faces. Calling out to his queen in front of the southerners was not giving him any face at all. Why don't you all accept me? Dong Huang Baiji asked faintly. The longevity fruit is clearly under your control, Empress. Why do you want the southerners to get involved? You are a big shot of the north, not a big shot of the south. One of the patriarchs questioned loudly. He knew how to lead the conversation. Following his shout, everyone nodded in agreement. Dong Huang Baiji asked faintly, what do you all want then? Since the Empress can't take care of our north, then we'll choose another big shot. As soon as these words came out, the entire audience was silent. The people of the south were dumbfounded. It seemed that these people were preparing to force the emperor to abdicate. Who gave them the courage to do this? Dong Huang Baiji looked towards the aristocratic families in the north. What do you all think? Dongfang Yuan Air remained silent because she already knew what was going to happen next. She appeared very indifferent. However, the other four had gloomy expressions. At this point, there was no turning back. Your Majesty, this big shot wants to protect the interests of the forces in the north, and your way of doing things is lacking consideration. Jiang Yuanzhou cupped his hands and said. At this time, Yi Xiao also stood up and said with a smile, Your Majesty has worked hard these few years. Why don't you retreat to the city and enjoy life? Chu He remained silent, feeling that something was amiss. The corner of Marshal Saint's mouth twitched. We merely want the ancient godly artifact, while they are formidable enough to want the entire voidless realm. He Tian was also quite shocked. That's right, the northern aristocratic families have quite the appetite. Duck. With of realm of. Dong Huang Baiji swept her gaze across the entire northern powers. You all want me to abdicate? Duan Ho was still very respectful. Your Majesty, the benefits of the north are the most important. This time, the entire north didn't get many longevity fruits, and they were all taken by the southerners. Our benefits were all given away by Your Majesty. Your Honor, Duan Ho was still very respectful. Your Honor, Duan Ho said. Your Honor, Duan Ho was still very respectful. Your Honor, Duan Ho said. That's right. Change to someone who can protect the benefits of the north. Your Honor, Duan, Your Honor, Duan, Your Honor, Duan, Your Honor, Duan Ho said. Ha 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 ha. Everyone in the north laughed out loud. Dong Huang Baiji took a deep breath, then said faintly, Since you all insist on doing this, then let's vote. Those who want me to abdicate, stand on the stage. Yi Xiao and the others were delighted. Judging from the Empress's words, it seems like she is going to compromise. This is normal. Facing everyone's questioning, furthermore, it is a formal questioning. How can she be reasonable? The North began to make their choice, while the Southerners looked like they were watching a show. This is much more interesting than the martial arts competition. Not long later, the entire stage was filled with people. Only 20+ people were still sitting on the stage, and did not move. Among them was Chen Xuanzong. Although he hated the men on the stage, he would not go against Voidless Realm, because Qingye was in Voidless Realm. Yi Xiao, Duan Ho, and Jiang Yuanzhou stood on the stage. Their intention was very clear. Chu He, are you not coming? Duan Ho looked at Chu He coldly and asked. Chu He remained silent, and sat together with Dongfang Yuer. Yi Xiao snorted coldly. Chu He don't regret this. In the end, Chu He did not stand on the stage, and chose to support his empress. Dong Huang Baiji deeply wrinkled her brows. Although her face was calm, her heart was in turmoil. I didn't expect that so many people would dare to go against me. This is truly disappointing. It turns out that a single longevity fruit is able to cause their selfishness. No wonder they had to hide it for so many years. Duan Ho cupped his hands and said, Your Majesty, you have also seen it. This is the voice of all of the family heads in the north. We have no other choice. Your Majesty, since things have come to this, please make a decision. Jiang Yuanzhou said gravely. Yi Xiao became even more arrogant as he slightly raised his head and shouted. The North's big shot should be someone who is responsible, not someone who betrays the North's benefits. Isn't that right, everyone? Yi family head is right. Well said, we don't need this kind of big shot. We need a big shot that thinks for the North, not a big shot that provides convenience for the South. Since things have come to this point, it is more or less enough. Right now, it is up to the Empress to make a decision. Meanwhile, Voidless Realm's Imperial Guards were still standing at the side, not moving at all. This gave people a false impression that the Empress seemed to be about to compromise. The Southerners began discussing in low voices, guessing if the Empress will abdicate. If the Empress doesn't abdicate, how is she going to resolve the anger of these people? Could it be that she is going to kill all of them? Imitate Ji family? It shouldn't be possible, right? This Empress shouldn't have that kind of courage. In the end, she is a woman, she isn't as firm as a man. I have been the Empress of Voidless Realm for many years, but this is the first time I have encountered such a situation. Perhaps you all think that I am a bit indecisive, but today, your performance let me know how to properly be an Empress. A layer of frost appeared on Dong Huangbaizhi's face, and killing intent immediately emerged. Dong Huangbaizhi clenched her fists. The ring on her hand emitted out a blue radiance that enveloped the entire martial arts stage. A bloody feast is about to arrive. Everyone turned pale with fright. What does this Empress mean? Is she crazy? Chapter 547. At this moment, the spectators on the tournament stage were a little flustered. This move of the Empress's was releasing a kind of bad news. However, what made everyone curious was that those Voidless Realm Imperial bodyguards still did not move at all. Just what is the meaning of this? The expressions of Yi Xiao, Duan Ho, and Jiang Yuanzhou turned ugly. What is the meaning of this, Empress? Is she preparing to kill all of us? Aren't you afraid of the world's criticism? Duan Ho stepped out of the line and pointed at the Empress. This kind of posture was very arrogant, and he did not take the Empress seriously at all. Yi Xiao shouted angrily. Empress, all the forces in the north are here today. Are you trying to copy the Ji family? Empress, if you dare to touch a single hair on us today, you will be ridiculed by everyone in the world. Jiang Yuanzhou also shouted. The northern clan leaders behind her also began to hoot, and even used filthy words to insult the Empress. That was because they had calculated that the Empress would not target them. If she continued to target them, their reputation would definitely take a devastating hit. The people on the southern side were also a little worried. If the Empress became angry and killed everyone, what would they do? But when he saw his big shot sitting there, he felt a little more at ease. Thankfully, the Ying family was here. Otherwise, he might have been scared *+ by now. Suddenly, Yi Hua, who had been sitting on the throne without moving, stood up and stood beside Dong Huangbaizhi. Meanwhile, Dong Huangbaizhi took a few steps back and stood at the side of her throne. Yi Hua sat down. Dong Huangbaizhi simply stood beside Yi Hua. The actions of the two puzzled everyone present. What was the meaning of this? He didn't understand at all. Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and took out a lighter. The clear and crisp sound of the cigarette being lit seemed to have ignited the fear in everyone's heart. Faint sparks were emitted from the cigarette butt, and a burst of green smoke slowly rose into the air. Yi Hua squinted his eyes and looked at everyone, then flicked away the cigarette ash. You all want to make my woman step down from the stage, but have you all asked for my opinion? Aren't you King the Queen's man? Who do you think you are? Someone in the crowd shouted in disdain. As for Chen Xuanzong, who was on the viewing platform, he looked as if he was watching a good show. This Long Outyin likes to put on an act as usual. Dong Huangbaizhi's beautiful eyes turned cold, and the ring on her hand flashed with a red light. Bang! The man who had just been arrogant exploded into a mist of blood, and the hot blood drenched the bodies of the people around him. Such a move scared everyone. What was that thing on the Empress's finger? How could it have such terrifying power? Could it directly take someone's life? The Southerner's scalp went numb. And the people on the tournament stage were even more so. The Empress's sudden change was a little hard for them to accept. Wasn't this a tyrant? It was completely unreasonable. Jiang Yuanzhou's face darkened, and he shouted, Your Majesty, what do you mean by this? How dare you kill an innocent northern family head? Are you still a big shot in the north? Dong Huangbaizhi's ring flashed with a red light once again. Jiang Yuanzhou's expression changed drastically. He felt his body being pulled violently, and the spiritual energy in his body felt like it was about to explode. Bang! Jiang Yuanzhou's body exploded in an instant, just like the previous one. Yi Xiao and Duan Ho's bodies were covered in blood. Both of them were extremely shocked. This empress really dared to kill. No, this was a show of force, a warning to others. However, just what kind of ring was that? It was acceptable for it to instantly kill a small family head, but to instantly kill a family head of an aristocratic family. Just what kind of thing was that? Even Ing Jingshan was shocked by the ring on Donghuang Baiji's hand. If it was me, I would feel a chill on my back. Ing Kongshi, who was behind Donghuang Baiji, was very proud. That is my fiancée, formidable, right? I even met my fiancée in my dream last night, and had a lot of fun with her. Martial Sage and the other two were stupefied. Is this the strength of a big shot? This is completely unreasonable. Killing people is like killing chickens. Yi Hua took a deep breath. You all might not have realized it yet, but when I am talking, I don't like to be disturbed. Therefore, let me ask you all one more time. Were you all trying to kick my woman off the stage just now? A ray of cold light flashed past Yi Hua's eyes. These people sure have guts. So what if we did? We don't need a big shot who willfully kills the innocent. Empress, step down. Empress, step down. Empress, step down. Hearing those shouts, Yi Hua sneered. Then, I shall let you all see what it means to willfully kill the innocent. The ring on Donghuang Baiji's finger immediately let out a green light. 50 people could be seen walking out of the tournament stage. From their expressions, it could be seen that they were being controlled. What are you doing? Let go of me. Damned woman, let go of me. I don't want to play anymore. I don't dare to, let go of me. The 50 people could be seen slowly walking to the bottom of the tournament stage and kneeling on the ground in an orderly manner. Right at this moment, Voidless Realm's Imperial Guard finally moved. With heavy steps, the Imperial Guard walked towards the 50 people, and stood beside the 50 people in an orderly manner. A person was kneeling on the ground and stretching out his head, and there was also an Imperial Guard who was wielding a blade standing beside the person. The faces of the Southerners were filled with fear, and they felt that even their breathing was a bit rough. Meanwhile, Martial Sage and the others gulped down their saliva. This is going to be a purge that comes from the Empress. The sky that was originally clear and boundless was already covered by dark clouds. The gloomy weather made the entire tournament stage even more oppressive, making it hard for everyone to breathe. The 50 family heads that were kneeling on the ground felt that the person beside them wanted to raise his head and look, but his body was not in his control. Yi Hua let out a mouthful of smoke and said faintly, "Since you all want to willfully kill the innocent, I shall give it to you all." Along with Yi Hua's hand moving, Voidless Realm's Imperial Guard immediately pulled out the blade in his hand. Clang! The blade and the scabbard let out a heavy metallic sound, and the body of the blade flickered with a white cold light. The expressions of the 50 Imperial Guards were calm. When they dared to rebel against Voidless Realm, it was already a capital offense. Swish! Neat and uniform movements. 50 heads rolled onto the ground, and 50 corpses fell onto the ground. A large amount of blood sprayed out, and a scarlet-red liquid instantly flowed onto the ground. Some of the corpses were even struggling powerlessly. Such a scene stunned everyone. Not only the Northerners, even the Southerners revealed a frightened expression. This Empress is so ruthless. She killed them just like that. I'm afraid that after today, she will become a blood empress. Looking at those corpses, everyone on the tournament stage felt that their legs were going numb, and their lips were trembling. They wanted to run, but they were unable to muster up any strength. Yi Xiao and Empress Duan were stupefied. The scariest thing still happened in the end. This empress really dared to kill. Yi Hua slightly leaned onto the throne, took a deep breath, and took a puff of the cigarette. Then he flicked away the cigarette butt, and the faint flame drew an arc in the air, then fell onto the pool of blood and extinguished. Chapter 548. Domineering. Xianba shouted, his eyes filled with worship. This was a real man. Qi Shuwen, who was at the side, was also looking at Yi Hua, and it was as if his view of the world had been refreshed. No wonder Yi Hua was able to obtain the favor of the empress and heroine. Just based on what Yi Hua said just now, no woman would be able to resist him. As the sect master of Cloud Sect, Wu Hao didn't seem to be thinking about anything else anymore. This man wasn't someone he could surpass. No matter how hard he tried, he wouldn't be able to learn such a grand and imposing manner. He couldn't even learn to speak in a low tone. He was too manly. Chen Xuanzong went into a daze for a moment. This Long Outyan is too good at acting. Qingye must have been deceived by him like this. He was just a pretty boy, and this empress actually appeared for him. Ying Jingshan's heart was also endlessly shaken. For his honor to be able to say such words with that imposing body of his. This is truly unprecedented. Ying Jingshan can only look up to his honor's majestic bearing and worship his honor's feet. Behind him, Ying Kongsher clenched his fists tightly. One day he would also be able to do this. At that time, the empress would definitely fall in love with him. Just thinking about it made him feel slightly excited. While the people from the south were exclaiming in admiration at Yi Hua's toughness, they were also frightened by his iron-blooded methods. That scarlet red blood caused people to tremble with fear, and there were also those heads that had their eyes wide open, seemingly not daring to believe such a reality. Murongji muttered, "The world has changed." That's right, the cultivation world is going to change. Looking at those headless corpses and those voidless realms' imperial bodyguards, the martial saint gulped. Yi Tian was speechless. His entire body was numb. At this time, Yu Quan appeared in the void again and shouted coldly. The northern family heads offended their superiors and were openly disrespectful to Her Majesty, forcing Her Majesty to abdicate in order to achieve their goal of usurping the throne. Their crimes are unpardonable, and the heavens have no pity for them. They shall be sentenced to death. Following Yu Quan's announcement, the entire hall fell into silence once again. Oh, death penalty? The southerners were astonished. With this slash, the entire northern power would decline, just like the south. Donghuang Baiji, you have no right to condemn us. Everyone resist. Yi Shao roared with all his might. His handsome face became distorted and terrifying. Duan Ho even had the intention to sink the boat and break the cauldron, and she shouted out, "Donghuang Baiji." Right now, Donghuang Baiji appeared to be very calm, and it was basically impossible to see the waves that were surging within her heart. As she clenched her hand, the ring on her hand started emitting out orange light. Something terrifying happened. The more than 400 people in the arena let out terrified screams, like the wails of ghosts and the howls of wolves. It was extremely miserable. The sky darkened, and a series of rumbling sounds rang out, adding to the terrifying atmosphere. What is that thing? Their spiritual chi has been sucked out. How is this possible? How is this possible? It can actually extract the spiritual energy from a person's body. Waves of white spiritual energy floated out of everyone's body, including Yi Shao and Duan Ho. The extraction of spiritual energy was no less painful than grinding their bones, and it was even more painful than death. Originally, Donghuang Baiji had planned to give them a quick death. However, she didn't expect that they would still dare to continue to rebel against Donghuang Baiji and destroy the last bit of benevolence that Donghuang Baiji had shown to Donghuang Baiji. From now on, Donghuang Baiji became even more cruel and merciless, to the point where people even gave Donghuang Baiji a resounding title, Goddess of Despair. The miserable screams continued, and a large amount of white spiritual energy gathered in the air. Following Donghuang Baiji's snap, the large amount of spiritual energy dissipated into the air and entered the clouds. Raindrops slowly fell from the sky, drenching everyone's body. Everyone's body was already feeling cold, and when the raindrops landed on their body, they felt even colder, as if their entire body was going to be frozen. The more than 400 people in the arena had their spiritual energy extracted, and right now, they were no different from ordinary people. They were gasping for breath, and fear could be seen within their eyes. The heavy rain had drenched their clothes, and when the raindrops dripped onto their frightened faces, they were completely frightened to the point that they couldn't even speak. Continue. Donghuang Baiji shouted out coldly. Blood Empress wasn't someone who would randomly call out. Yi Hua was very satisfied with Baiji's attitude. After this incident, The benevolence in my heart will be extinguished. This is a good start. The rain became heavier and heavier, and the pool of blood on the ground formed a small scarlet-red pond. The scene was terrifying and made everyone feel despair. This time, Donghuang Baiji didn't use her ring to control the people in the arena. No. Your Majesty, please spare me. I know that I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. Your Majesty, please don't kill me. I didn't do it on purpose. Please spare me this time. I miss my wife and child. Your Majesty, please don't kill me. Your Majesty, my wife just gave birth to a child. I still haven't seen my child. Please don't kill me. The people who were being escorted by the guards began begging in despair, and there were even a few whose legs had already turned soft. However, they were still dragged away by the guards, then forced to kneel beside the corpses. Fear and panic could be seen on the faces of the family heads who had their spiritual energy extracted, especially when they saw the corpses that were lying in the pool of blood, because they knew that they would be the same later on. When the family heads who were lucky enough to survive saw this scene, they felt that they were really lucky. It is fortunate that I didn't rebel with them. If not, I would have become one of the corpses as well. Thinking about this, Chuhi felt a lingering fear. God bless my Chu family. Hua, hua, hua. The heavy rain fell onto the ground, and the entire arena was silent as everyone looked at the 50 people who were kneeling on the ground. Donghuang Baiji waved her hand. Clang. The sound of blades could be heard once again. The rainwater fell onto the blades, washing away the bloodstains on the blades, making the blades look even sharper. Not a single one of Voidless Realm's Imperial Guards showed any mercy. The rainwater flowed past their resolute faces. Kill! Donghuang Baiji shouted out lightly. Your Majesty, please spare me. Your Majesty, please don't kill me. Who can save me? I don't want to die. I really don't want to die. The guards waved their blades in unison, and a silver light flashed. The entire world became silent, and only the sound of raindrops could be heard. Below the stage, it was already a sea of blood, and the blood even submerged the boots of the Imperial Guards. Meanwhile, Donghuang Baiji, who was wearing a gorgeous purple gown and golden crown, looked at the scene indifferently. Continue. The sounds of begging for mercy resonated throughout the entire arena, and the people on the stage were crying and shouting, begging the heavens for mercy. They don't want to die. Can't the heavens forgive their crimes? The heavy rain didn't seem to have any intention of stopping, and on the contrary, it was getting heavier and heavier, causing everyone's line of sight to become wet. It was as if even the heavens were feeling sorrow and crying because of this scene, but they were powerless to do anything. Batch after batch of people were being escorted below the stage, and received the most severe punishment. There wasn't any mercy or mercy at all. Blades flashed time and time again, and the corpses piled up higher and higher, and the heads of the corpses were already submerged in blood. Chapter 549. Looking at the Empress on the stage, as well as the man on the throne, everyone's mood became very heavy, because the two of them were too calm to the point that it was frightening. Could it be that all the pity in their hearts disappeared? The number of people on the stage became fewer and fewer, and some of them even fainted from fear. However, in the end, they still couldn't escape from death. Until only Yi Xiao and Duan Ho, the two family heads, were left. Voidless Realm's Imperial Guards spread out to guard the surroundings. Their silvery white armor was stained with blood, and it wouldn't be washed away by the heavy rain so quickly. Donghuang Baiji looked at everything coldly. Voidless Realm's authority cannot be violated by anyone. Duan Ho suddenly laughed lightly, then laughed loudly. Voidless Realm's authority, haha. I'm going to die from laughter. Why didn't you mention authority during the Dongfang family's tragedy back then? Chuhi, do you think that you can hide from it? Back then, we framed Dongfang family together. Dongfang Yuan, who had been silent the entire time, was moved, and a layer of tears appeared on her beautiful eyes. They finally admitted it. As for Donghuang Baiji, your father killed all of the men in Dongfang family, so what if he knows that Dongfang family is innocent? What authority? It's all bullshit. Chuhi turned pale with fright. I didn't expect that Duan Ho would drag me down with her before death. He hurriedly knelt on the ground and shouted, Your Majesty, please spare me. Chuhi, just now, how many people begged for mercy, and all of them became headless corpses? Do you think that Donghuang Baiji will spare your life? She is a demon. Haha. Donghuang Baiji, you will suffer retribution. You killed so many people. Just wait for the gods to descend. They will exterminate your voidless realm. Ha ha ha. Yi Xiao had already completely gone mad, and even his speech seemed incoherent. Duan Ho laughed loudly as well. That's right, I Duan Ho, request the gods to descend and execute this damn Donghuang Baiji. At this moment, a golden ray of light descended from the sky. The heavy rain instantly stopped, the dark clouds dispersed, and the warm sun illuminated the ground once again. This situation caused everyone to be stunned. Did the request really come? Oh God, that's a godlike existence. Even Ing Jingshan seemed very excited and he stood up. Within the golden ray of light, 3 figures could faintly be seen. This allowed Yi Xiao and Duan Ho to see their final hope. A deity has descended, and what is waiting for Voidless Realm is the most severe punishment. The two sneered in their hearts. Punishment? Now it should be your turn, Donghuang Baiji. A wave of godly might was released, and everyone could feel it. It's really the descent of a deity. Ing Jingshan was dumbfounded. He immediately knelt down and kowtowed to the golden radiance. Following Ing Jingshan's action, the people from both sides respectfully knelt down and kowtowed to the golden radiance. Even the big shots of the Ying family had knelt down. What reason did they have not to? However, Yi Hua and Donghuang Baiji were still calmly looking at the scene. Gradually, the golden light dissipated. 3 figures appeared in the middle of the arena. The one who stood in front of the group was a woman. She was wearing a pure white dress, and her long hair was draped over her shoulders. Her skin was as exquisite as white jade, and she was so beautiful that her entire body was emitting a coquettish aura. There was nothing that could be done about it. Recently, she had been nourished by a man, and her entire face was glowing. The green and red brothers were standing behind him. They were wearing green and red robes, and their hair was tied up to their waists. They looked very stylish. Because Yi Hua knew that the 3 of them would pray to the heavens, I shall bestow them with hope. Everyone at the scene looked at the 3 people who had suddenly appeared and gulped. Were these gods? That woman is so beautiful, and there's also the one behind her. Are gods so fashionable as well? They even dyed their hair. Forget it, let's ignore these details. These are gods we are talking about. During these 2 days, not only did I see big shots, I even saw a god. I should be satisfied for the rest of my life. Qi Shuwen said in a low voice. So these are gods? They are so powerful. That's right, this godly might is making it hard for me to breathe. Xian Ba looked at the 3 people at the scene with a frightened expression on his face. Martial Saint and the others also obediently knelt down and kowtowed. As expected of a god, the godly might that is being emitted from them is actually able to cause people to feel fear in their hearts. That high and mighty aura seems to be able to dictate everything. Zishan was originally a god, and it was very easy for her to release her godly might. Lord God, save us. Yi Xiao immediately knelt down and crawled to the front of Zishan, then kowtowed with all his might. A blood stain immediately appeared on Zishan's forehead. Duan Ho was the same as well. While kowtowing, the veil that Zishan was wearing fell off, and everyone saw Duan Ho's face. Compared to the high and mighty god, Zishan's face is simply. Duan Ho shouted out, Lord God! Donghuang Baiji killed the innocent and tried to disturb the world. Look at these corpses. They were all killed by that damned slut. Lord God, please give us justice. Lord God, this Donghuang Baiji is inhumane. She robbed us of our spiritual energy and killed countless innocent people. Lord God, please choose someone else. Even now, Yi Xiao was still unwilling to give up. Even if he has to die, he still wants to kick Donghuang Baiji out of power. After hearing what Yi Xiao said, Zishan didn't pay any attention to Yi Xiao. Along with the 2 actors behind her, Zishan walked forward. Looking at this scene, everyone's heartbeat quickened, and their bodies trembled from nervousness. Will Voidless Realm fight with a god? It is obviously impossible. From the looks of it, the Empress is going to suffer a calamity today. After all, How can the entire voidless realm be a god's opponent? From the looks of it, the Empress is going to take action against voidless realm. The Empress is going to be out of luck, and that man is going to be out of luck as well. After provoking a person like a god, there is basically no chance for one to survive. What a pity! What a pity! Facing such a shocking change in the situation, everyone silently mourned for voidless realm. After all, no matter how strong voidless realm is, it is impossible for them to be stronger than a god. Even if only 3 gods came, they would still be able to exterminate voidless realm. From the looks of it, the Empress has kicked an iron board. Subordinate pays respect to your majesty. Following Zishan's shout, the 3 people kneeled down towards Donghuang Baiji. Right now, everyone was stupefied. Is this an auditory hallucination? Or is it an auditory hallucination? A god is actually kneeling down in front of the Empress, and he even called himself subordinate. How is this possible? This is a god, an existence that is even stronger than a big shot. Why is a god kneeling down in front of the Empress? This is impossible. Yi Xiao and Duan Ho were stupefied. The 2 looked at the kneeling god blankly and found it hard to believe. Even in death, I won't believe that a god is kneeling down to Donghuang Baiji. Hallucination. This is definitely a hallucination. Everything is fake. Everything is fake. Ing Jingshan was also stupefied. However, when he thought about the strength of a supreme overlord, he felt at ease. Only Ing Jingshan felt at ease. The others were all unable to digest this kind of information. This is a terrifying god. Chapter 550. Donghuang Baiji slightly raised her hand, and Zishan and the others stood up and respectfully waited for her orders. This kind of attitude of voidless realms caused a chill to run down one's spine. This voidless realm is already so big that it can drive people crazy. Even the gods had to bow their heads in submission. Xianba hurriedly asked his master, "Master, is this really a god?" Judging from his aura, he is indeed a god. Elder Feng said calmly. "Master, why are you so calm?" "Because I am also a god." Xianba's jaw dropped. He didn't expect his master to be so powerful, and he didn't expect to have a god as his master. Yi Xiao and Duan He went crazy. They thought that a deity would come and save them. And they even thought that a deity would eliminate voidless realm. However, never in their wildest dreams would they have thought that even deities were voidless realm's subordinates. This kind of fact was something that the 2 of them were unable to accept. Immediately, the 2 of them pointed at Donghuang Baiji and cursed at her loudly. LV Liang and Yi Hong's figures flashed and instantly returned to their original positions. Their speed was so fast that people thought they hadn't moved at all. However, Yi Xiao and Duan Ho's heads rolled on the stage. Even in death, they refused to believe that this was real. Everyone in the south gasped for breath. Even the deities are standing on voidless realm's side. Just thinking about how they were threatening voidless realm just a while ago, voidless realm's legs became numb from fear. Voidless realm wouldn't kill us all in one go, right? It felt like even the Ying family couldn't save them now. Donghuang Baiji's gaze looked towards Chu He, who was kneeling at the side. The latter felt the Empress's gaze and lowered his head. Chu He, seeing that you have reflected on your actions in time, I will be lenient in your punishment. I will strip you of your aristocratic family title and cripple your cultivation. Donghuang Baiji said coldly. Chu He rejoiced in his heart. Today he finally managed to get his worthless life back. He hurriedly kowtowed in thanks. Thank you, Your Majesty, for not killing me. There's no need for Your Majesty to make a move. Chu He clenched his fists and ruthlessly struck his dantian, scattering the gathered spiritual energy. From then on, he would become an ordinary person, unable to gather spiritual energy. Donghuang Baiji shifted her gaze away and looked at the remaining people from the north. The latter hurriedly knelt down and shouted, Your Majesty is wise. Donghuang Baiji then looked at everyone in the south. Empress is wise. All the southern family patriarchs shouted in unison. Donghuang Baiji sighed in her heart. Sure enough, only an iron-blooded method would be able to achieve such an effect. I have killed so many people and I am no different from Ji family. However, The main point is that they are still shouting about how wise they are. Firstly, she was in the right. Usually, when one tried to usurp the throne, the other would die, so she was in the right to kill him. More importantly, she had a powerful husband like Yi Hua. No one would dare to provoke her. Yi Hua stood up and hugged onto Dong Huangbaiji's willowy waist in front of everyone. Speaking of which, I can only use my wife to act cool. Such a powerful woman is something that only I can enjoy. Are you all jealous of me or not? Disperse. Yi Hua shouted lightly, then disappeared from the stage along with Dong Huangbaiji. Zishan and the other two also disappeared from the stage. However, Yi Hua still passed a secret message to Ing Jingshan. After receiving his honor's order, Ing Jingshan didn't dare to say anything, and all he had to do was to follow his honor's order. Following the departure of Yi Hua and Dong Huangbaiji, the pressure on the entire martial arts stage immediately decreased, and everyone let out a sigh of relief. The Empress is still very rational. She only killed those traitors and not the innocent. My fiancé left, and she didn't even take a single look at me. However, it doesn't matter. When I become stronger in the future, I will naturally be able to gain the Empress's attention. Looking at Yi Hua's actions, Chen Xuanzong felt indignant for Qingya. Just you wait. I was scared to death. I thought that I was going to die. Xian Ba patted on his chest. Just now, he was scared to the point that he almost peed in his pants. Qi Shuwen was the same as well. All of the news that he heard today was too shocking. Voidless Realm is already so powerful that even the gods have to hug onto their thighs. Everyone was thinking about the same question. Just whose thighs are the gods hugging onto? However, judging from the performance just now, it should be Dong Huangbaiji's thighs. Furthermore, Dong Huangbaiji's ring is so powerful. As for Dong Huangbaiji's man, it can only be said that he is too lucky to have such a powerful wife. I am truly envious, jealous, and hateful. Why didn't such a good thing happen to me? It is very honorable to be the Empress's gigolo. I don't make a fool out of myself at all. Looking at the corpses that filled the ground, everyone couldn't help but shiver. This is too savage. Voidless Realm's Imperial Guards began cleaning up the corpses, while the people from the south also left one after another. The people from the south couldn't help but wish that they could announce to the whole world what happened today. Of course, the content of the announcement was only praising the Empress for suppressing the traitor. And what massacre, nothing like that. The Empress did right. People like that should be killed. What's the point of keeping them alive? Before everyone left, Ing Jingshan called the 3 family heads to the tavern that they were staying at to discuss some matters. The 3 family heads were a bit surprised, but they still went to the tavern and sat on the wooden chairs obediently while looking at Ing Jingshan. Ing Jingshan wasn't in a hurry as he slowly drank his tea. After closing the lid of the cup, Ing Jingshan said lightly, "You all should have seen what happened today. Although the North suffered a disastrous loss, Voidless Realm's strength is beyond our imagination." Marshal Saint nodded his head, then cupped his hands and said, "Ing family head, although Voidless Realm's foundation is strong, our South's potential is still very big." That's right, this time, Xian Ba and Qi Shuwen's performance was too sudden. I feel that we should focus on nurturing them. Etian echoed. After a few years, when the ancient godly item appears, it is only natural for the 2 of them to replace the positions of aristocratic families. Murongji's expression was very serious, seemingly as if he was discussing the South's future. Ing Jingshan took a deep breath, then said faintly, "Seems like you all didn't understand what I meant." After hearing what Ing Jingshan said, the 3 were very puzzled. Did I say something wrong? I didn't feel wrong at all. Voidless Realm is indeed very powerful, but we aren't that bad either. Murongji cupped his hands and said confusedly, "Ing family head, we will definitely train hard and strive to bring glory to the South." Ing Jingshan let out a light sigh, then shook his head and said, "There are some things that can't be achieved just by working hard, because no matter how hard you work, you will never be able to surpass the other party." This time, the 3 family heads understood what Ing Jingshan meant. Ing family head was a bit discouraged. Seeing how powerful Voidless Realm was, he felt a sense of powerlessness. Thinking about it, Voidless Realm is able to order gods around. Just based on this point alone, Ing family has fallen behind a lot. It was only right for Ing family head to receive a blow. Ing family head, as long as we, the South, work together, we will still be able to fight against the North. He Tian felt that he should be cheering for Ing family head. You are the only big shot in the South right now, and you are going to lead us to glory. Ing Jingshan smiled helplessly. You all still don't understand what I meant. The three family heads were stupefied. Just what do I mean? Chapter 551. Upon hearing those words, Marshal Saint He Tian and Murongji's expressions stiffened, and Marshal Saint said emotionally, Ing family's leader, you must not do that. You are a big shot of the South. If you really do that, the South's face. Marshal Saint hurriedly swallowed back the words that he was about to say. As for He Tian and Murongji, their faces were also filled with anticipation. They hoped that Ing Jingshan would dispel this terrifying idea. Slowly putting down the teacup, Ing Jingshan chuckled. Maybe you guys still don't know this, but I've already submitted to you a long time ago. The three of them couldn't help but hold their breaths. Their entire bodies stiffened as if they'd been struck by lightning, and their minds rumbled. I had already bowed down to them a long time ago. A big shot from the South actually submitted to Voidless Realm. If such a news were to be spread out, the entire cultivation world would be shaken. In that case, doesn't Voidless Realm have the final say in the entire cultivation world? Ing family's clan head, you. How can you submit to Voidless Realm? He Tian asked in disbelief. A big shot actually submitted to another big shot. Unbelievable. Ing Jingshan laughed lightly. Who told you that I submitted to Voidless Realm? This time, the three of them were really dumbfounded. Are you joking? Suddenly, Ing Jingshan stood up with a fanatical look on his face. It was as if he could do anything for the sake of this fanatical look. I serve the great Supreme Sovereign. I will use my life to serve the mighty Supreme Sovereign. I will become a servant at the feet of the Supreme Sovereign. What a grand ambition! Ing Jingshan closed his eyes and shouted out these impassioned words. He seemed to be enjoying this moment very much. He was completely immersed in the service and was unable to extricate himself. The minds of the Marshal Saint and the other two went blank. Was this big shot crazy? Why did another supreme being jump out? Were they going to put on a show? Ing family's clan leader. Who is this supreme being you speak of? Murongji's expression was dark, and he asked curiously, because he felt that it was very dangerous. Ing Jingshan slowly opened his eyes, and his gaze turned cold. Of course he is Empress's husband. Do you think a woman can come up with such a big plan? The three of them were shocked and immediately thought of that man. His eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. He Tian gulped. How far has the Ing family's clan leader gone? A wave of killing intent gushed forth from Ing Jingshan as he slapped the air, sending He Tian flying. You deserve to die for being disrespectful to his honor. Ing Jingshan shouted coldly. After He Tian fell to the ground, he never got up again. Ing Jingshan had killed He Tian with a single slap. The martial sage and Murongji did not dare to move at all, because how could they possibly be a match for the giants? Killing them would be as easy as killing chickens. Ing Jingshan took a deep breath. As a subordinate of the Supreme Overlord, I didn't even have the chance to properly pay my respects these past few days. I really deserve to die. Oh, that's not right. I'm not a subordinate of the Supreme Honorable yet, but I will strive to be one and serve the great Supreme Honorable well. Looking at Ing Jingshan's passionate expression, Marshal Saint and Murongji panicked. Ing Jingshan is practically worshipping Ing Jingshan to the extreme, and he is even worrying about being Ing Jingshan's lackey. It seemed that this Ing Jingshan was not even considered as that man's underling. Ing Jingshan laughed. Do you think I'm crazy? That's because you don't know anything about Supreme Overlords. From the moment the 9 Demons Punishing Tower appeared, the entire cultivation world was already under the control of Supreme Overlords. Ing Jingshan's words caused the two to tremble all over. If that's the case, that terrifying black robe is his subordinate. The battle between me and Voidless Realm was also planned by Supreme Overlord. Do you know why Ji family killed so many people? That was all planned by Supreme Overlord. Do you know who was the one who exterminated Ji family? Do you know the true meaning of the martial arts competition this time? Do you know why deities acted like that just now? That was all because of the great supreme overlord. These words rumbled within Martial Saint and Murongji's mind. It turns out that we have always been someone else's chess piece, and all of our reliance was in vain. Even a giant doesn't have the qualifications to be a lackey. Are we going to die as well? Murongji was in despair. The person that I relied on actually wants to kill me. This is the coldness that comes from the abyss. Jingshan laughed. To be able to die under the command of Supreme Overlord, the two of you have not lived your lives in vain. Martial Saint and Murongji didn't even have the slightest chance to resist, and both of them collapsed onto the wooden chairs. Of course, being able to complete the mission that His Honor gave me, I feel honored as well. Rest assured, His Honor only wants your lives, nothing will happen to your families. In the future, leave the matters in the south to those juniors, they might be the next two of you. A trace of a vicious smile appeared on the corner of Jingshan's mouth. Without giving the two of them the slightest chance, Jingshan instantly killed them, then kept their ancient godly items. After finishing all these, Jingshan laughed. Guards! Family head. Family guard shouted out respectfully. Deal with the corpses of the three of them. In a few days, just say that they were killed by that group of people. Make sure to shift the blame to them properly, understand? Yes. Jingshan nodded his head, then picked up the teacup on the table and drank it in one gulp, then walked out of the tavern. All of the family heads in the south had fallen. This situation was pretty much the same as the north. Right now, there was only Dongfang family left in the north, and the family head was even Dongfang Yu, or who was bullied. Following the end of the martial arts competition, a storm swept through the entire cultivation world once again. The family heads of the north rebelled, and attempted to seize the throne. However, under the bravery of the Empress, those bad guys did not succeed, and the Empress even gave them a few chances. In order to maintain her own safety, the Empress killed all of the rebels, and only then did the rebellion was averted. All of the news was beneficial to Voidless Realm, and the Empress even shouted that those people deserved to die for actually wanting to seize the throne. Fortunately, the Empress was wise. If not, those trash would have succeeded. Everyone gave the Empress a thumbs up. However, those who were in the know all knew that the Empress was a blood Empress. Furthermore, during this process, the appearance of the deities was not mentioned at all. Right now, the public opinion was completely in Yihua's hands. And after going through the baptism this time, no one dared to be disrespectful towards the Blood Empress. Because this was the Blood Empress that killed without batting an eyelid. And if anyone were to touch her, that person would die without a burial ground. However, in just a few days, the news of the death of all of the family heads of the South's family spread out, and once again, the entire cultivation world was shaken. The murderer was pointed at the group of people who exterminated Tang family, and no one dared to suspect Voidless Realm anymore. Because no one dared to suspect Voidless Realm. Even if they knew, they wouldn't dare to not say it out. This was the rule of Iron and Blood. No one dared to suspect Voidless Realm. At Wang family's house in Gaohai City, a few people were currently sitting at the table, and on the table, there were at least 3 KFC family buckets. Burp. Wang Debao, who was drinking cola, couldn't help but burp. Burp. Qing Tian burped as well. Chapter 552. This fried chicken is so F***king delicious, and it tastes so good when paired with cola. Wife, don't you think so? Wang Debao said casually. Right now the whole team's harmony was pretty good, and they were talking and laughing. Bai Cixin had a helpless look on her face. My husband is like a child sometimes. Be more serious. Brother Wang. This is called being straightforward. Qing Tian patted Wang Debao's shoulder. Wang Debao smiled and said, Wife, do you see that? Brother Qing understands me so well. Then you go with your brother Qing. Don't look for me. Bai Cixin snorted. Brother Qing? Those who don't understand would think that you are called Brother Qing. Sister-in-law is angry, quickly go and coax her. Qing Tian laughed loudly, then picked up a napkin and wiped his hands. After getting rid of the family bucket on the table, everyone's expression became serious. Recently, our reputation has been rising, and we have been made a lot of scapegoats. Feng Di said with a gloomy face. Feng Di snorted coldly. We are even made a scapegoat for the death of an aristocratic family's family head. This is really interesting. This is a complete reshuffle. Right now, the only aristocratic family left in the north and the south is Dongfang family. And it's a woman who doesn't have any fighting strength. Bai Cixin snorted. She feels that this is too unfair. They are both women, so why is that Dongfang you are the family head? Wang Debao sighed and said helplessly. Right now, Voidless Realm can cover the sky with one hand. What else can we do? What we need is a battle. Qing Tian laughed lightly, and a folded napkin was placed in front of him. Everyone was confused. Voidless Realm or gods, in layman's terms, strength is everything. A new year is coming, and we are going to become the saviors of the world. Giants? In the end, it's a title given by humans. Can't we title ourselves? Voidless Realm has a reason to kill people, but will they kill a person who saved the cultivation world? Hearing Qing Tian's words, Bai Cixin finally understood. Since we have a reputation, we can also snatch things, so why not? I'm only interested in treasures. I'm not interested in anything else. Feng Di said lightly. However, what Bai Cixin needed was a reputation, so it wasn't a conflict. As for what Qing Tian wanted, no one knew. Qing Tian stood up and clapped his hands. Let's go out and welcome the dark year together. Wanda Plaza in Long'an City. Yi Hua was currently hugging onto Ali, and his two wives were snuggling up to him while looking at the countdown timer on the big screen. Dong Huangli's big eyes looked at the screen excitedly, and she couldn't help but start counting down with everyone. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom boom boom. Magnificent fireworks erupted from the skyscraper, mesmerizing everyone. Cheers suddenly rang out as the people in the square celebrated the arrival of the new year. Daddy Mommy, Happy Chinese New Year. This was the first time that Dong Huangli was celebrating Chinese New Year together with her daddy and mommy. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were very happy as well. This kind of life was rather comfortable, and they were able to stay away from those disputes. However, sometimes, those disputes would come looking for you. There was nothing they could do about it. Daddy Mommy, won't you kiss Ali? Dong Huangli said pitifully. This little fellow sure knows how to act cute. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji sat on one side of Baiji and kissed Baiji's chubby cheeks. This caused little Ali to be extremely happy. Where's daddy's? Yi Hua helplessly kissed onto his daughter's forehead, while Dong Huangli happily kissed onto her father's cheek. This truly is a warm moment. The family of four ate all kinds of snacks, then walked back home. After Dong Huangli got over her excitement, she laid onto her father's embrace and slept soundly. On the spacious and empty street, there would be groups of youngsters walking past from time to time, bringing along a joyous atmosphere. Do we have any goals for this year? Yi Hua asked curiously while carrying on to his daughter. Right now, Donghuang Baiji was no longer the blood queen. She was now a little woman. Eat and drink well, a family of 4, no a family of 6. After finished speaking, Donghuang Baiji rubbed onto her stomach. Qingye said, Yi Hua, your burden right now is very heavy. You need to earn more money to support your wife and children. I heard that working at the construction site is pretty good. You can earn a few hundred a day. It is enough for our family's expenses. Daddy, are you going to work at the construction site? Ali is going to help Daddy carry the bricks too. Dong Huangli said drowsily, then went back to sleep. Yi Hua shook his head helplessly. I will stay at home to take care of the children. The two of you can go out and work. Yi Hua, how can you be like this? Other people's husbands are the ones who support their wives. The two wives immediately started acting coquettishly. In actuality, Dong Huangli was just pretending to sleep. If not, Daddy and Mommy wouldn't be saying such mushy words. Ali felt goosebumps all over her body, especially when she heard Mommy acting coquettishly. The strict image of Mommy in her heart was completely toppled. From the looks of it, only Daddy is able to train Mommy to be obedient. Hee, outstanding men don't need to work, Yi Hua said proudly. Qingye was already convinced by Yi Hua's twisted logic. Donghuang Baiji still hadn't gotten used to it. Do you have the heart to let your pregnant wife go out and work? I am very at ease. Who would dare to provoke you too? You. He. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji still didn't know of Yihua's personality. If he could stay at home, he definitely wouldn't go out. No matter if he was in Voidless Realm or here, it would be the same. However, this is also good. At least we won't have to worry about Yihua going out to flirt with other women and finding trouble for ourselves. It will be New Year's in February, right? Yihua said faintly. When I just arrived here, I completely didn't know what New Year's was for. However, since everyone is celebrating New Year's, I can't just not celebrate it, right? Thus, I spent the past few years with Wei Chang and Lai Gu, that dog. It was cold and cheerless, completely devoid of any atmosphere. After simply eating dinner, I would go back to my room to sleep. There was no meaning to celebrating New Year's at all. I didn't even watch the Spring Festival Gala. And when Yihua saw other people's families being together, he felt very gloomy. That's right, I am about to give birth. Qingye rubbed onto her round tummy, and a motherly radiance could be seen on her pretty face. Donghuang Baiji smiled. Then let me congratulate you on becoming a mother first. Same to you too, Qingye said jokingly. I was discussing New Year's matters with you too. Why did you two start talking about children? Yihua said petulantly. He really disregarded my words. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji spread out their hands. Yihua is just like that. All right. How do you want to celebrate New Year's? Qingye asked curiously as she lightly leaned onto her husband's shoulder. Donghuang Baiji, who was at the side, was the same as well. Yihua said faintly. In the past, I have always been cold and cheerless. Therefore, this year, I plan to have a big reunion. I plan to call everyone over and celebrate New Year's with everyone. What do you think? Chapter 553. In the blink of an eye, it was February 4th. During this month, the cultivation world was quiet and nothing major happened. Perhaps it was because it was too quiet. It gave people the feeling that a storm was coming. But in the world of ordinary people, today was New Year's Eve. It was a good day for families to reunite. The whole of China was enveloped in a strong New Year atmosphere. And in Long'an City, it was even more so. Red lanterns were hung all over the streets and alleys, and there were even couplets pasted on the doors. It was very festive. Everyone was welcoming the new year, hoping that there would be a good omen, hoping that in the new year, the whole family would be safe and sound. In Scenic Garden, Death Mage and Sun Fong were currently preparing for the gathering. Tonight was the gathering that was arranged by his honor, and this gathering cannot be sloppy. As a little brother, to be able to attend such an occasion, what kind of glory is that? Bone, haven't you changed your clothes? We're leaving. Sun Fong was wearing a red flowery cheongsam. Her curvaceous figure was extremely sexy. Coupled with her beautiful face, she was indeed worthy of being called the proud daughter of the South. However, Sun Fong's face was filled with anxiety. Gigi, royal translation. These clothes are so hard to wear, can't I just wear a robe? Sun Fong seemed to understand. What do you look like wearing a black robe? Your wife said that tonight's theme is a festive one, so everyone has to wear red. Even LV Liang is wearing red. Don't waste time, hurry up. Gigi, royal translation. Human clothes are really hard to wear. Death Mage had no other choice and called Sun Fong over. When Sun Fong saw Death Mage's necktie, she immediately lost her composure. Are you trying to strangle yourself to death? Is this how you tie a tie? Death Mage didn't want to move anymore and spread out his hands. His meaning was very clear. Help me. Sun Fong shook her head, then carefully helped Death Mage to tie his necktie. Who asked me to like this stupid skeleton? Yihua picked up the red suit and put it on the Death Mage. Not to mention, the Death Mage really looked a bit handsome. A skull paired with a red suit, it looked a bit interesting. As for Sun Fong, she stood at the side and looked at the two people in the mirror. A warm expression appeared on her face, and she felt that they were quite compatible. In Wei Chang's room, the same scene was happening. Lil Tang, check if my tie is crooked. Wei Chang stretched his neck and carefully observed his appearance. The current Wei Chang paid great attention to this aspect. Tang Wei was wearing a red long dress, and within her innocence, there was a hint of sexiness. Wei Chang was also a man, and even though he hugged this kind of woman every day, he did not make a move. As for Tang Wei, she was already numb to it, and no longer held any hope. Let's take a look, Tang Wei said with a light smile. When Wei Chang turned around, Tang Wei stretched out her hand and smoothed her hair. My Uncle Wei is so handsome. I mustn't steal his honor's limelight. It's better for me to keep a low profile. Tang Wei immediately let out a light laugh. Uncle Wei even knows how to joke now. Uncle Wei, stop being so narcissistic. Let's hurry up and go. Everyone might have already arrived. Tang Wei urged. We can't be late. Don't let his honor scold us during the new year. Wei Chang checked his attire once more. After he felt relieved, he went downstairs with Tang Wei. When he got downstairs, he exclaimed, Lil Tang, is the red packet ready? Don't worry, everything is ready. Tang Wei felt that Uncle Wei was getting old and forgetful. Wei Chang nodded his head. I reckon that we will be able to get back the money we spent on the red packet. His honor will definitely give us a big red packet. Alright, stop thinking about it. Let's hurry up and go. Tang Wei smiled helplessly. We are all so strong. Yet we are still thinking about whether or not we will be able to get back the money we spent on the red packet. On the other side, Lai Gu was also urging them. You all are more or less done. What are you all going to dress up like? Are you all going to dress up like his honor's wife? Lai Gu had long been dressed in a red suit, and he looked at the three women helplessly. Lai Gu was still wearing a delicate and beautiful lipstick as he said casually. We are no match for his honor's wife, but we cannot lose face for his honor. No matter what, you are still his honor's subordinate. You women just like to compare yourselves. What's there to compare yourselves with? Jinjin, wear that huge ring that I gave you last time. Wuxia, wear that huge diamond necklace as well. Lai Gu also joined in the dressing up of the three women, seemingly wanting to hang the things that he was most proud of on the three women. The three celebrities shook their heads helplessly. Haha men. Remember to bring red packets. Luckily my family has a lot of people. His honor is going to pack 4 red packets for us at once. Haha. Lai Gu was very pleased with himself. His honor is very good at saving money. Wanting his honor's money is equivalent to wanting his honor's life. Lai Gu was still smiling. Be careful, his honor might say that he is going to stew you again. That won't happen. It has already been over 1,000 years. Isn't it still fine? Lai Gu understood his honor very well. Although his honor has a sharp tongue, his heart is like tofu. Of course, this was only towards his own people. The three women smiled but did not say anything. Meanwhile, on the other side, Yihong sat on the bed and blankly looked at his wife who was putting on makeup. He was very puzzled. Wife, you are already so beautiful. Why are you still putting on makeup? Yihong asked curiously. Zishan rolled her eyes at her husband. You don't even understand this. Are you trying to gain face for yourself, idiot? Ah. I don't want this. Yihong was a little embarrassed. What do you mean don't want? My wife is beautiful, so I have to show off. Do you understand? Zishan was also indirectly praising herself. Yihong let out a long sigh. Sigh women. Zishan glared at Zishan, causing the latter to immediately cower. Are the red packets prepared? Zishan asked lightly. And they are all prepared. Zishan nodded her head. Big brother has moved out, and our family's burden has increased again. I hope that his honor will give us a big red packet this time. His honor will definitely give us a big red packet. Yihong was filled with confidence. His honor is such a magnanimous person. How could he not give us a red packet? Right now, LV Shu had already moved out of the villa, and was no longer the third wheel. Other than going to work at night, LV Shu would be lying on the big bed of the two sisters every day, enjoying the fortune that a man should have. LV Shu leaned against the wall, and looked at the two sisters' faces that were exactly the same. She truly felt that she had hit the jackpot. His honor is such a good person. He didn't betroth Zishan to me. I really can't afford to offend a shrew like her. Our family's blood race sisters are still the best. Furthermore, blood race's specialty is sucking. No matter if it is sucking blood or other things, being able to suck blood or suck other things would make you feel extremely happy. Are you two going to a beauty contest? LV Shu asked curiously. Serena drew her eyebrows and said lightly. Your little brother's wife is so beautiful. We can't lose face for you. Chapter 554. What a little vixen. LV Liang lifted her sister's chin and greedily sucked on it. Her sister smiled and continued to draw her eyebrows. LV Liang was also a winner in life. However, as one of the 7 deadly sins, Zhu Tian was a little dissatisfied and absent-minded. Zhu Tian, do you think we should dress like this? Dongfang Yuan and Guan Yanqin walked in front of Zhu Tian, wanting to hear his opinion. Today, Zhu Tian had also taken off his white suit and wore a red one. He sat on a mahogany chair and drank tea as if he did not hear anything. Dongfang Yuan whispered, Zhu Tian? What's wrong? Zhu Tian returned to his senses and exclaimed. This kind of expression was very rare in the eyes of the 2 women. Dongfang Yuan was a lot better now. She seemed to have walked out of the shadow. This was also thanks to Zhu Tian comforting her and not despising her. At that time, Dongfang Yuan had run away from home several times, feeling that she was not worthy of Zhu Tian and was not worthy of his care. Zhu Tian forcefully found Dongfang Yuan and forcefully locked her in the house. Fortunately, Dongfang Yuan was obedient in the end, which made Zhu Tian feel a lot more at ease. However, the 2 women also discovered that Zhu Tian was not normal. It seemed that their man had indeed fallen in love with that woman. Although they knew, they did not say anything. In any case, they would support Zhu Tian unconditionally. Very good. Zhu Tian looked at the 2 women and nodded. He would see Brett again soon. His mood was very complicated. Seeing Zhu Tian like this, Dongfang Yuan and Guan Yanqin were unhappy. If they could make Zhu Tian happy again, they would do anything. However, they were powerless. Guan Yanqin pulled Dongfang Yuan. She liked you the most. Go and say a few words. Dongfang Yuan walked in front of Zhu Tian and slowly squatted down. She held Zhu Tian's slender hand. Zhu Tian, if you like it, be bolder. This was the first time Dongfang Yuan expressed her opinion. As an ordinary woman, she also needed courage. Zhu Tian gently held Dongfang Yuan's slender hand and pulled her into his embrace. Thank you. Zhu Tian, as long as you are good, we are willing to do anything. Dongfang Yuan said softly. Zhu Tian was very gratified. He also hugged Guan Yanqin in his embrace. Don't say anything tonight. Let's celebrate the new year. The 2 girls nodded sweetly. On the 2nd floor of Leisure Bar in Long and City. Zizi, what do you think of my clothes? Qing Yutong turned around, then asked happily. Yi Zizi was wearing a bright red princess dress and a big red round hat on her head. Her 2 ponytails fluttered behind her head. She looked adorable and noble at the same time, which was quite surprising. And when Yi Zizi looked at Qing Yutong's backless attire, she pouted her mouth. Everyone here is a married man. Who are you going to seduce? Yi Zizi's words were like 10,000 critical strikes, and Qing Yutong glared at Yi Zizi fiercely. Can't I seduce my brother-in-law? Your sister will beat the sh*t out of you. Yi Zizi's words could infuriate people to death now. Her eloquence had improved. Qing Yutong was in despair, and she stomped her feet on the ground. I'll change. That's right. What a waste of such a good figure, sigh. Yi Zizi, are you looking for a fight? It's not like you can win against me. Yi Zizi pouted her mouth and had a look of, you can't win against me no matter what. Qing Yutong felt that she was going to go crazy. This Yi Zizi has changed too much recently. Every single sentence she says is very sharp. At this moment, Yihua suddenly pushed open the door. Wearing a custom-made red suit, he was incomparably handsome. Just now he heard the noise inside, so he came to take a look. What's wrong? Yihua asked indifferently. Qing Yutong pouted her small mouth, then pounced onto Yihua's embrace. Brother-in-law Zizi is bullying me. Yi Zizi shook her head. Women. Recently Yihua had often praised Yi Zizi, but right now he had no choice but to say it. Zizi, Yutong is still young, don't bully her. Still young? How am I? Qing Yutong small. Yi Zizi laughed to the point of rolling on the bed. Brother-in-law, you are bullying me too. I'm not going to play with you guys anymore. I'm going to look for my big sister. Qing Yutong snorted and walked out of the room. Yihua laughed lightly, then said to Yi Zizi, "Stop laughing. Everyone is more or less here." "And I got it." Yihua walked down the stairs and looked at everyone in the hall. A lot of emotions welled up in his heart. My subordinates have all found their own homes, and every single one of those women are incomparably beautiful. To say that they are my subordinates' wives is also something that gives me a lot of faith. However, in how many years has it been? When has there ever been such an atmosphere? In the past, if I wasn't in the middle of a massacre, I would be preparing to massacre. There was no laughter, only an endless amount of blood. But look at the current situation. My subordinates are all laughing and chatting happily. Perhaps in a few more years, children will be born in groups. At that time, I, the Supreme Overlord, will be leading the entire team to battle on the battlefield. How great of a moment would that be? Yihua's gaze looked towards Qingya. My stomach is already very big, and recently, I have to go to the hospital for a checkup. As for the Empress, she had just gotten pregnant, and she appeared to be very careful. Today my daughter was also wearing a red skirt. While shuttling through the crowd, she was greeting people politely, and she appeared to be very sensible. Just like last time, Brett was hiding in a dark corner. Her red robe didn't give her a festive feeling, and instead, as she drank cup after cup of wine, she appeared to be incomparably miserable. Looking at Brett's current appearance, everyone became anxious in their hearts. I really hope that Zhu Tian can properly console Brett. Brett, who has a fiery temper and stubbornness, isn't someone who can be appeased just by coaxing. Looking at Brett's current appearance, Zhu Tian didn't dare to go up and provoke Brett even more. As for today's head chef, he was the blood demon who was going to bring disaster to the world. It must be said, a blood demon who doesn't have any strength is willing to do anything, and furthermore, he learns everything very quickly. Right now he is even a head chef in Leisure Bar, and even Yihua is praising him nonstop. This brat is capable. He isn't capable of bringing disaster to the world, but he is very good at doing other things. However, speaking of which, I should be receiving quite a lot of red packets tonight, right? It is everyone's duty to be filial to their boss. There are also Qingya, Donghuang Baiji and Ali. All of them have to give out red packets, and red packets are also not a small amount of income. I, the Supreme Overlord, should keep the red packet money, so as to prevent myself from using it recklessly. This woman just loves to spend money recklessly, to buy a bag that is worth a few $100,000. She is truly a prodigal. The table that was set up today was that kind of big round table, and it wasn't like the lobster banquet that was set up last time. There were a total of 2 tables, and the television on the bar counter was currently locked onto the Spring Festival Gala, which was about to begin. Chapter 555. It was just that it was a bit comical to let this group of women in gowns run errands and serve dishes. Other than Dongfeng they all had strength. However, when Dongfeng saw Brett, she was still a little afraid. On the other hand, LV Liang was very happy today. As expected, my blood clan sisters are very powerful, and they are also one of a kind in the entire team. Even big brother Lai Gu revealed out an envious gaze. Today Zishan was the same as well. She, who possessed the temperament of a deity, added a different color to her appearance. Comparatively speaking, Wei Chang, Lai Gu, and Zhu Tian's women were slightly lacking. However, the 3 of them were the capable subordinates of a supreme overlord, and they had an advantage in terms of status. Moreover, absolute heavens is also a special existence. As for Qingya and Donghuang Baiji, there was no need to talk about them. No matter if it was their temperament, appearance, or status, they were all unique. As the dishes were served one by one, the hall was filled with a fragrant aroma. Chicken, fish, and all kinds of meat were served. Today, Blood Demon was wearing a red robe, and there was even a red scarf tied around his waist. After wiping his hands, Blood Demon said respectfully, "Your Honor, all the dishes have been served." Yihua nodded his head. The Blood Demon bowed, and prepared to retreat. "What are you doing?" Yihua took a look and asked faintly. "Your Honor, I'll just go to the back and eat something." The words of the Blood Demon were simply so pitiful. Yihua said lightly, "No need, sit down together." Blood Demon had a startled look on his face. then immediately became overjoyed. Does this mean that I have received his honor's approval? The excited blood demon immediately kneeled onto the ground. Thank you, your honor. If it wasn't for your honor, I, blood demon, would have already died. After saying that, Blood Devil felt that something was wrong. Pa. What are you talking about during the new year? Qin Yutong said in a low voice. This was too inauspicious. Blood Demon immediately had a bad feeling. Your honor, please forgive me. All right, I don't believe this. Thank you, your honor. Blood Demon let out a breath of relief and sat at the table beside Blood Demon. Everyone waited for Yi Hua's opening speech, and none of them moved their chopsticks. Meanwhile, Yi Hua picked up his wine glass and stood up. Today is Chinese New Year's Eve, and it isn't easy for everyone to be able to sit together and eat together. The few people from the 7 deadly sins knew what his honor meant by not easy. That's right, it really wasn't easy to walk all the way here. Tonight, there's no hierarchy. Let's celebrate the new year together. You've worked hard. After Qingye and Donghuang Baiji, who were sitting beside Yi Hua, heard what Yi Hua said, a smile appeared on Qingye and Donghuang Baiji's faces. When the subordinates heard what his honor said, they immediately went into a daze. Your honor, is there really no difference in ranks? Lai Gu asked. From the looks of it, Lai Gu has a bold idea. Yi Hua said indifferently, I, the Supreme Overlord, will naturally keep my words. They won't punish us? Lai Gu had to ask clearly, if not, he would definitely suffer a loss. Yi Hua's brows wrinkled. What does this Lai Gu mean? That's right. Lai Gu wiped his hands, then immediately stretched out his hands. What are you planning to do? Yi Hua asked. Your honor, red packet. Lai Gu said excitedly. Not only was Lai Gu excited, all of his honor's subordinates were also waiting for his honor to give them red packets. Meanwhile, the corner of Yi Hua's mouth twitched slightly. To actually ask me, the Supreme Overlord, to send red packets to you. Your guts are truly getting bigger and bigger. It's one thing that you don't want to give out red envelopes, but you still want me to do it. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have said those words and let them seize the opportunity. Seeing that his honor's expression immediately sunk, Lai Gu had already stopped what he was doing, and even said that he wouldn't lose his temper. It seems like he was just being polite. I naturally know that you all have worked hard, but I, the Supreme Overlord, have worked even harder. Let me send a red packet first. Yi Hua said gravely, seemingly as if he was talking about a very serious matter. Ali wants a red packet too. Dong Huangli stood on the stool and shouted out. In the past, I only got 1 red packet, but tonight I will definitely get a bunch of red packets. I am so happy New Year is so good. With little his honor supporting him, Lai Gu immediately stood up, then clapped his hands and shouted out. Your honor, send red packets. Your honor, send red packets. Not to mention, Lai Gu was quite good at setting the tempo. Everyone stood up and clapped their hands, then shouted out his honor to send red packets rhythmically. This caused Yi Hua to be angered to death. These subordinates are truly crazy, to actually even tease me. Yi Hua, I want a red packet tube also. Our son wants a red packet too. Qingye also stretched out her hands. Donghuang Baiji was unwilling to fall behind. Me too, our son wants a red packet too. Daddy, send red packets. Donghuang Li began shouting out. This time, there was finally no one who shouted out along with Ali. Everyone still remembered the lobster feast that time. What else could Yi Hua do? He could only send red packets. I didn't prepare any red packets either. How about this? I will create a WeChat group and send 100 red packets with 200 RMB each. You all can go ahead and snatch the red packets. Yi Hua said generously, as if he was going to give out a lot of red packets. However, when everyone heard that his honor was going to send red packets, they were all very happy. It doesn't matter how many red packets there are. What's important is that the red packets are being sent by his honor. In this world, how many people are able to receive a red packet from his honor? Daddy, Ali doesn't have a phone. Ali said pitifully. Daddy will give you a big red packet tonight. Yi Hua said in a low voice. Hearing what Yi Hua said, Dong Huangli immediately laughed out. Yi Hua patted onto Qingye's thigh. The meaning behind his words was very clear. Hurry up and transfer the money to me. I don't have any money. What else could Qingye do? Yihua's pretentious personality will never change. To say such words when you don't have any money. It is so hard to be Yihua's wife. Qingye secretly transferred 20,000 RMB to Yihua's thigh. It really wasn't much at all. Yihua shouted out in his heart, stingy, not giving me any pocket money at all. After creating a WeChat group, Yihua pulled everyone into the group. After that, Yihua could see his subordinates spamming the group with all kinds of emoji packs, and some of them even used my own emoji packs. Damn it, who gave you all the courage? Liang Jingru. Before the meal even started, the red packets were already in full swing. Blood Demon's luck was pretty good. Every red packet was worth tens of red packets. At the very least, he managed to snatch a few thousand red packets. Lai Gu, this unlucky fellow, sometimes didn't even manage to snatch a red packet, and he would always complain that his phone's signal was poor. All right, the red packets have been sent out, let's eat. Yihua shook his head. I gave out another red packet. In the future, I won't say something like this anymore. All of you are not afraid of me anymore. Aren't you afraid that I, the Supreme Overlord, will settle the score with you in the future? Right now, the subordinates understood his honor, and they knew that his honor wouldn't take the red packet seriously. While eating the reunion meal and watching the Spring Festival Gala, this was the first time Yihua experienced the feeling of celebrating the new year. I have to continue this tradition. The men competed with each other to drink alcohol. After all, they had agreed not to cheat, and they drank to an earth-shattering level. As a big shot, Yihua was persuaded to drink quite a bit of alcohol. This made Yihua feel that they are truly too arrogant to actually dare to persuade me to drink alcohol. That sentence about the relationship between a superior and a subordinate, I really can't help it. Chapter 556. Meanwhile, the women began playing mahjong. There were more than 2 tables left. Dong Huangli and Yi Zizi went upstairs to play games. It's still better to not participate in the world of adults. Hey, you guys drink less. Dong Huang Baiji touched herself and shouted towards the men. Lai Gu grinned. Your honor's wife, when you drink, you have to drink until you talk nonsense, and you have to drink until the entire universe is yours. If you can't do these 2 things, what's the point of drinking? Your honor, don't you agree? Don't care about that woman, drink. Dong Huang Baiji snorted. I will give you face now, but when we go back, just wait and see how I will take care of you. Your honor is mighty. Yihang immediately shouted out. Look at me, I don't even dare to shout at my wife like this. Zishan's doom gaze instantly arrived, and Yihang didn't dare to not say anything. Yihua patted onto Yihang's shoulder. Men, fear of their wives doesn't exist. Yes, your honor is right. Yihang hurriedly agreed. However, I don't dare to do that. I will be abused by Zishan. Zishan, who was playing mahjong, snorted. It's useless even if your honor supports you. Yihua began his long-winded speech, instilling the concept of men being supreme into his subordinates. The Yihua who was drunk was indeed different. He even started to brag. What I, the Supreme Overlord? What kind of woman am I unable to find? Yihua completely didn't know what Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji's expressions were. When the other women heard what his honor said, they felt so helpless. This is simply teaching my husband the wrong things. In the future, I can't let my husband play with his honor anymore. He will lead me astray. Let's go to the nightclub. Someone shouted out, and the woman who was playing mahjong immediately used doom gaze. Who said that just now? Come out. This is too outrageous. Yihang, is it you? Yihua shouted out coldly. Yihua was acting very well. Seeing that there was a scapegoat, Lai Gu laughed and said, Yihang, I am going to criticize you. Zishan is so good, yet you still want to go to a nightclub. Are you worthy of Zishan? At this moment, LV Liang also said, That's right, although I know that you are very envious that Big Brother has 2 wives, but, don't think about having 2. Yihang felt as if he was struck by lightning. What happened? Why don't I have any recollection of it? My wife's gaze seems a bit off. Yihua paused for a moment. Yihang, you should reflect on yourself. Let us continue drinking. Your honor is mighty, his honor is mighty. His honor is mighty. Tonight, Yihua was indeed floating. There was no helping it, he was truly too happy. At 10 o'clock, the men collapsed on the sofa. This feeling of dizziness was very good. After Hua finished, they Ye and the night, they and Yi and Yi and the Hua, Hua, and Hua, Hua. In any case, Donghuang Baiji wanted to kill Donghuang Baiji in an open and aboveboard manner. And those people who were standing at the side would be clapping their hands and cheering for Donghuang Baiji. This was exactly the feeling that Donghuang Baiji wanted. This kind of plan wasn't something that could be completed in a short amount of time. Therefore, Yihua wasn't in a hurry. He was going to wait for Donghuang Baiji to give birth to this child before making any further plans. As they chatted, it was almost midnight. Yihua stood up and said, "Ladies, are you still going to fight?" Donghuang Baiji snorted. "Aren't the two of you going out for a massage? Why aren't you going?" "Madam, don't blame his honor. Men are all like this when they drink." Wei Chong immediately tried to smooth things over. This Madame Donghuang is someone that everyone had painstakingly helped his honor to bring back. Don't quarrel with each other during the new year. That would be very inauspicious. Right now, Yihua's temper was slightly better. If it was in the past, he would definitely have scolded Yihua. Yihua was really not giving Yihua any face at all. "All right, let's call it a day after this round," Yihua said faintly. It was going to be 12 o'clock soon. However, Yihua neglected the motivation of the women to play mahjong, as they were simply unable to stop playing mahjong. Thus, Yihua decided to just let them do whatever they wanted. After all, New Year's is a happy occasion. Oh, it's going to be 12 o'clock soon. Ali is coming down to receive a red packet. Donghuang Li and Yi Zizi rushed down from upstairs. "Daddy, I smell of alcohol all over my body. I am going to look for mommy to carry me." Yihua was helpless. The smell of alcohol all over my body is really not good to smell at all. Along with the arrival of 12 o'clock, the new year officially began. "Little Your Honor, do you want a red packet?" "Ali wants it." "Little Your Honor, I have a red packet here too." Ali wants it too. Looking at his daughter's joyous expression, Yihua felt very comfortable in his heart. Meanwhile, the women finally stopped playing mahjong. As the wives of his honor, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji naturally had to give out red packets. Towards a custom like this, Yihua had to do as the Romans do. However, what's the difference in giving out red packets here and there? It can only be considered as a good omen. Rip. Qingye suddenly wrinkled her brows and held onto her stomach. Zishan, who was at the side, hurriedly held onto Qingye. And at this moment, Qingye's water suddenly broke. "Your Honor, your wife is going to give birth." Zishan cried out in surprise. Yihua was currently discussing something with Ju Tian, and hearing Zishan's shout, he hurriedly ran over and asked excitedly, "What happened? Is she going to give birth?" And her water broke. Zishan was also very happy. "It has just been Chinese New Year, and I have already welcomed a new life. This is a good sign." Qingye grabbed onto Yihua's sleeve. "Yihua, it hurts." Qing Yutong said gravely, "Quickly carry her upstairs and boil some hot water." "You know how to deliver a baby?" Yihua asked curiously. "I learned it on television," Zishan said tenderly. "Your Honor, I know a bit about it." Yihua nodded his head. "Hurry up and go then, be careful." "Yes." The women walked back and forth in the bedroom, while a group of men waited outside the bedroom. From time to time, Qingye's painful wails could be heard. "It has already been half an hour. Why isn't the baby born yet?" Yihua was a bit vexed. This was the first time he had encountered something like this, so of course he would be anxious. He was afraid that something bad would happen to Qingye and the baby. Ju Tian said respectfully, "Your Honor, don't be anxious. Humans take a bit longer to give birth." Yihua squinted his eyes and continued smoking one cigarette after another. "Daddy, don't be anxious. Mommy Qing and little brother will be fine." Donghuang Li pulled onto her father's pants and consoled. Yihua squeezed out a trace of a smile, then rubbed onto his daughter's head. In an instant, it was 3 a.m. in the morning. Qingye's screams did not stop coming from the bedroom at all, and Yihua felt like killing someone just by listening to the screams. Chapter 557. Suddenly, Qinya's painful howls stopped, and this caused Yihua's gaze to become serious. She gave birth? The door of the bedroom suddenly opened, and Qin Yutong walked out with a grave expression. Brother-in-law. What's wrong? Has your big sister given birth? Yihua asked excitedly. I didn't expect that there would still be something that would be able to make me nervous to such an extent. My big sister, she. While speaking, Qin Yutong's eyes turned red. Looking at Qin Yutong's appearance, Yihua immediately rushed into the bedroom, only to see that all of the women that were present were currently unceasingly transferring spiritual energy to Qinya, and Qinya was still lying on the bed with a big belly, and was currently being enveloped by a dense spiritual energy. What's going on? Yihua shouted out, and red light could be seen flickering within his eyes. Wei Chang and the others felt that his honor's condition was very unstable, so they hurriedly rushed into the room. When they saw that his honor's wife was lying on the bed, and spiritual energy was being transferred to his honor's wife, all of them were a bit surprised. How did giving birth to a child end up like this? This shouldn't be happening. Dong Huangbaizhi's expression was especially grave as she said gravely, Yihua, the child is absorbing Qinya's spiritual energy. Yihua went into a daze. Why is it like this? Yihua questioned angrily. Why would a good child absorb his mother's spiritual energy? Dong Huangbaizhi said in a low voice. Initially, I thought that it was only a legend, but who would have thought that it was actually true? When the child of the Niwa clan is born, the child will absorb all of the spiritual energy in the mother's body, and then the child will become the next Niwa, and the mother will quickly age, and then, Dong Huangbaizhi didn't finish her sentence. The price that the Niwa clan had to pay for giving birth was a life for a life. It was just that they didn't expect it to be true, and they didn't take it to heart. They were too careless. However, Yihua had also underestimated the child's enormous bloodline power. Not only does the child possess Yihua's bloodline, the child also possesses mother's bloodline. When the two of them are added together, the amount of spiritual energy that the child can absorb will be even more enormous. Therefore, right now, I have to hurriedly transfer spiritual energy to Qinya. If not, the spiritual energy will be absorbed by the child. Of course, this was not the child's original intention. That was the child's bloodline. When the child saw his mother in so much pain, he wanted to bear the pain for his mother, but his body could not help but want to suck. Yihua took a deep breath, and a burst of golden light immediately emitted out from both of his hands. A huge amount of spiritual pressure was instantly emitted out, and the spiritual pressure immediately flowed into Qinya's body. With a flash of golden light, Qinya's furrowed brows gradually relaxed. But the golden radiance on Qinya's body was quickly disappearing, and Qinya wrinkled her brows once again. Everyone was shocked. This speed of absorption has already reached a terrifying degree. Even his honor's technique is being absorbed. Wei Chang and the others who were standing at the back were in disbelief. Just what kind of child is the little honor in your wife's stomach? This is too terrifying. Yihua was unwilling to give up. Immediately, a golden light condensed on his left hand, while his right hand emitted out green and blue colors that were intersecting with each other. However, Yihua's gaze tensed up, and he actually fused the golden light into the ball of strange colors that was on his right hand. Immediately, 3 different colors emerged from the ball of strange colors, and everyone could immediately feel a ferocious spiritual energy being emitted out from the ball of strange colors. Wei Chang immediately isolated the inside of the room from the outside. Yihua pushed the strange thing in his hand towards Qinya's body. Pooh! 3 different colors covered Qinya's delicate body, like a cloud of smoke. Qinya's expression gradually smoothed out, as if she had gotten some relief. However, Wei Chang and the others who were at the back were very surprised. Could it be that his honor is unable to solve the problem? He could only ease the situation? Yihua's gaze was like a torch as he stared fixedly at Qinya, who was on the bed, and the child in her stomach. How did this happen? The fusion of Niwa's bloodline and my bloodline is actually this terrifying. There is actually no way to control it, and the only thing I can do is to slow down the speed of it being absorbed. In this world, there are actually things that I, the Supreme Overlord, am unable to do. This kind of effect was already out of Yihua's control. The fusion of the two bloodlines was very terrifying. Fortunately, Donghuang bloodline wasn't so tyrannical that it had to absorb the mother's spiritual energy in order to obtain the inheritance. Not right. There are still a lot of medicinal pellets in my storage ring. Yihua. Qinya, who was on the bed, shouted out weakly. Her slender hand slowly raised up, and her pair of beautiful eyes looked at the man who was in a panic. This was the first time that Qinya saw Yihua being in such a panic. The corner of Yihua's mouth twitched, seemingly wanting to laugh and properly console Qinya. However, he was unable to laugh at all. It's fine, eat the medicine. It will be fine very soon. Yihua took out the God Essence pill, Life Continuing pill, 9 firmaments Heaven Nourishing Dew, and so on. However, these things could only serve to slow down the speed of it, and were unable to solve the problem. After Qinya obediently ate the medicine, she felt much more comfortable. Yihua, no matter what, you have to protect our child. Do you understand? I only have this one request. Right now, Qinya looked very weak. Her pair of beautiful eyes had lost their former color. And even more so, her pair of beautiful eyes were filled with firm pleading. Just now, when Yihua came in, Qinya's face was as white as a piece of paper. Yihua had been baptized by blood for so many years, and he had never been afraid before. Right now he was really afraid that he would lose Qinya. Yihua looked at Qinya's big belly and remained silent. Right now, I can only protect one, it's either big or small. Looking at her husband's hesitant gaze, Qinya's heart ached. In actuality, she knew what the situation was, but for the sake of the child, Qinya was willing to make a sacrifice. Which mother in this world doesn't love their child? Yihua, I have always been unwilling to listen to you. Then let me not listen to you for the last time, all right? Yihua held on to Qinya's hand that had lost its color and said gravely, Don't say any more, I will have a way. You are only allowed to listen to me for the rest of your life. I will be in charge of your matters. This little bastard, if he comes out, I will definitely beat him to death. Yihua, that is our child, you can't beat him. Qinya smiled weakly, and the oppressive atmosphere in the room lessened a bit. Suddenly, the colorful mist that was revolving around Qinya was once again absorbed by the little bastard. And the speed at which the little bastard was absorbing the colorful mist was so fast that it left one speechless. Yihua, is there any other way? This can't go on. Donghuang Baiji shouted out anxiously. The little bastard's absorption speed is too fast. This little bastard is too scary. Donghuang Li, who was standing at the side, was crying. She slowly walked to the side of the bed and said lightly, Little brother, don't absorb Mommy Qing's mist anymore. If you want to absorb, then absorb Big Sister's mist. Donghuang Li's words caused the little fellow to slightly calm down, and the little bastard's absorption speed slowed down a bit. Yihua scratched onto his hair, appearing to be very irritated. Your Honor, I have an idea. Zhu Tian suddenly stood out and said. Speak. Zhu Tian said gravely, Your Honor, do you still remember Sovereign Fa Lian? Yihua's gaze became focused as he shouted out, Speak clearly. Chapter 558. Because back then, Paragon Fa Lian was one of the people who organized that battle. In Yihua's heart, he didn't want Paragon Fa Lian to die so easily. However, now that Qinya has encountered such a matter, I have to make a trip over. Yihua took out a scepter from his storage ring. This was the space-time scepter. As the name suggested, it was a weapon that could control time. Although it wasn't anything good, it was very useful right now. Yihua swung his hand, and the space scepter floated above Qinya's body. Immediately, the scepter emitted a faint blue radiance, which enveloped Qinya within it. Qinya's pained expression stopped. This wasn't relief. It was the scepter that stopped the thing in the bed. However, this pause was not permanent. The space-time scepter was gradually withering away. It seemed like the space-time scepter was a weapon that had a life of its own. This was also the reason why Yihua had kept it by his side all this while. As expected, it was still put to use. You all stay here and guard this place properly. If anyone gets close to this place, kill them without mercy. Yihua shouted out coldly. The subordinates immediately bowed and shouted, "We will obey His Honor's command." Yihua's figure disappeared from the room. Yihua went to get the things and settle the accounts by himself. The women stopped transferring their spiritual energy to Donghuang Baiji, and Donghuang Baiji asked curiously, "Who is this sovereign Fa Lian?" Wei Chang heaved a sigh of relief and said in a low voice, "He is a person of virtue and prestige. Good and evil are decided by him." The people of the 7 deadly sins all knew the situation, but those who didn't were very puzzled. Wouldn't it be too dangerous for Yihua to go alone? Donghuang Baiji asked worriedly. Brett shook his head. "No, it's Sovereign Feilane who is too lucky." The few women didn't understand what Brett meant, but Donghuang Baiji felt that Yihua and Sovereign Feilane had some sort of relationship. From Brett's words, Yihua didn't plan to let Sovereign Feilane off, but because of Qingya's matter, Yihua's plan was spoiled. That was why it was said that Sovereign Feilane was lucky, not dying under the disdain of the people of the world. Yuan Tian Peak. This was a world of nothingness, but in this nothingness, there stood a huge mountain. The size of the mountain was astonishing, as if it covered the entire world of nothingness. At the foot of the mountain, one had to zoom in a few hundred times to see a tiny figure. The stream was like a silver thread. If one were to take a closer look, it would be a huge silver waterfall. A person standing beside it would seem very small. There were people on every level of the mountain, but they seemed so insignificant. Even a small stone had millions of lives and countless sections. And at the top of the mountain lived the peak master of the Yuantian Peak, Sovereign Feilane. This world of nothingness was created by him. And every sovereign had this kind of strength. However, back then Hong Tai was still a relatively weak sovereign, and did not have the ability to create such a world of nothingness. At the top of the mountain, there were no luxurious palaces or splendid residences. There were only ordinary wooden courtyards surrounded by wooden fences. Although it didn't look fancy, the people who squatted in the toilet at the top of Yuantian Peak were still very impressive. On the edge of the cliff at the edge of the mountain, an old man sat among the clouds. In front of him was an ordinary zither, and on his right was a cup of steaming hot tea. This old man was Paragon Feilane. His white-silver hair hung down naturally, and although his face was wrinkled, he looked very intimidating, and no one dared to look straight at that face. Compared to that face that was filled with wrinkles, Paragon Feilane's hands were incomparably delicate, just like a woman's hands. Especially when he was playing the zither. His hands carried traces of charm. The mountain reverberated with the clear and melodious sound of the zither. The sound of the zither was like a gift from the heavens, bringing hope to the people below the mountain. This was Paragon Feilane's strength. While playing the zither, he was able to hear the joyful shouts of the people, as well as the whispers of service. 2 figures suddenly appeared in front of Paragon Feilane, knelt down respectfully, kowtowed and shouted, "Teacher! Year 2, little fool. Did you comprehend any great Tao in this trip to spiritual capital?" Paragon Feilane stopped playing the zither and slightly opened his eyes. Immediately, a ray of light shot out from his eyes, and he didn't dare to look at them at all. And this Year 2 and little fool were Paragon Feilane's disciples, the newly popularized overlords. What Yihua didn't know was that during the 5 years that he disappeared, another batch of newbies had advanced to the ranks of overlords. And this spiritual capital was a place that all of the deities yearned to go to. Heaven's mansion, that kind of place could only be considered as a small place. It couldn't be brought to the stage. Spiritual capital was the place where the deities gathered. That was the highest point of authority. That was the place that countless people yearned to go to. "Teacher, disciple has benefited greatly." The 2-year 2 shouted out respectfully. Paragon Feilane naturally disdained that kind of place. It is completely meaningless to go to that kind of place. After reaching this kind of realm, what one should be thinking about is how to go to the next level. Tell teacher about the interesting things that happened in spiritual capital. It has been a long time since I listened to them. Paragon Feilane picked up the teacup at the side and lightly blew on it. A delightful fragrance drifted out, and Paragon Feilane lightly leaned against the teacup. However, there was nothing behind him. Year 2 and little fool outside were 2 saints' titles, But in here, they were just Year 2 and Little Fool, that's all. Furthermore, the two of them looked like middle-aged men, and it was very strange for them to be addressed like this. However, the two of them didn't dare to show any dissatisfaction. After all, the person in front of them was their teacher, the powerful paragon Fa Lien. Look at this origin sky peak, it was completely built by Master alone. Here Master is a god. Next, Year 2 and Little Fool talked about the things that happened in spiritual capital, the gossip of the royal family, the disputes of various places. Paragon Fa Lien hummed a little tune as he listened to his disciple's story, and the corner of his mouth curled up. Looks like spiritual capital has been peaceful these few years. Everything is peaceful. How is Kangluo continent? Paragon Fa Lien asked indifferently. Little Fool said respectfully, since that battle 5 years ago, Master eliminated the head of evil. Kangluo continent has maintained a peaceful trend, but there are still some small battles. 5 years ago. That is really unforgettable. Paragon Fa Lien chuckled and took a sip of tea. Year 2 said respectfully, Master can deal with evil, that is following the will of the heavens. How can those evil people be Master's match? Year 2, there are laws in all Daos, remember this. Paragon Fa Lien called out. Disciple will remember this. Little Fool suddenly thought of something and said respectfully, Master, Disciple recently heard that a branch of this deity was massacred. Oh, there is such a thing? Paragon Fa Lien sat up and put down the teacup in his hand. His expression was a little serious. Year 2 said, Master, this matter has shaken the royal family. Spirit Emperor has sent people to investigate. I believe there will be news soon. Chapter 559. A trace of doubt flashed past Supremacy Fa Lien's eyes. Speaking of extermination, Supremacy Fa Lien thought of that group of evil leaders. That group of evil leaders was their signature. Soon after, he laughed lightly. Since they were all exterminated by us, how could they possibly still be alive? Spirit Emperor is still suspecting if it was done by that group of people back then, Big Two said softly. After all, no one wanted to talk about that world-destroying battle. Many supremacies had fallen. That group of people was simply too powerful. Fortunately, Teacher joined hands with other powerful supremacies and killed all of them. And only then was Kangluo continent safe, returning peace to the world. Hearing what Big Two said, Supremacy Fa Lien was a bit displeased. That group of people was already killed by me. Even if the world is destroyed, they will not be able to return. However, just when Supremacy Fa Lien finished speaking, a black whirlpool appeared not far away. Supremacy Fa Lien and Big Two immediately looked towards the whirlpool and deeply wrinkled their brows. Which supremacy has come to pay a visit? Isn't this too impolite? This is trespassing into a forbidden area. Just when the three of them were feeling puzzled, a terrifying aura spread out from the whirlpool. The terrifying might cause Supremacy Fa Lien's expression to change. And Big Two was even more so suppressed by the might to the point that they couldn't even raise their heads. The eerie killing intent gradually engulfed the entire mountain peak. The sky suddenly darkened, and rumbling sounds could be heard. A foot could be seen stepping out of the whirlpool. Just this foot alone caused Supremacy Fa Lien's expression to change greatly, because this cannot even be considered as a foot. It is a foot that has no flesh and blood. Could it be? Supremacy Fa Lien's expression changed greatly. When Supremacy Fa Lien saw that familiar robe, he looked at that pair of empty eye sockets that were emitting red light in disbelief. Big Two used all their strength to raise their heads and look at the figure that was not far away from them. And when they saw that pair of eye sockets, their minds became completely blank. After all, the two of them did not participate in that battle, but they had also heard about how terrifying that battle was. How tragic it was. Supremacies fell one after another, causing everyone to tremble in fear. After all, those were supremacies, not small fries. To be able to kill powerful supremacies, just what kind of person was that? It was said that the leader of that group was a skeleton that wore a robe. That skeleton was completely inhumane. That skeleton would kill anyone he saw. And in his eyes, human lives were not even worth a single straw. Who was this skeleton in front of him? Didn't Master say that even if the world was destroyed, those people wouldn't come back? What was happening now? Was this skeleton the same as before? The person who came was indeed Yihua. Yihua who had revealed his true form, and was even wearing the robe that he had worn back then. His thoughts were very clear, and that was to use his current appearance to take revenge for what happened back then. Paragon Fa Lien's figure flashed and appeared not far away from Yihua. Paragon Fa Lien's eyes were filled with heaviness. You are Sovereign Fa Lien, are you surprised to see me? Yihua slowly breathed out, and a boundless killing intent gushed forth. Looking at this person, Yihua was a little unable to control the rage in his heart. This Paragon Fa Lien had killed 2 of his subordinates back then. But things were different now. You're not dead. Supremacy Fa Lien's face tightened as he exclaimed in shock. How was this possible? Back then, all of them had died in battle, and they had even confirmed it time and time again. How could they still be alive? Yihua spat out that eerie voice that came from the netherworld. If you want me to die, have you asked for my permission? Yihua tightly clenched his fists and shouted out gravely. Paragon Fa Lien, originally, I had arranged a very good show for you, but your luck is good, so I can't give you that show anymore. You heinous criminal, so what if you manage to survive? There are 3,000 great Daos. Are you still able to escape from karma and reincarnation? Yihua snorted lightly, then said impressively, what a heinous and unpardonable. Have you killed even less than me? Just who are you showing your kindness to? If there's a cause, there's an effect, that's why I came back. Why did you come back? Yihua suddenly laughed out wildly. That laughter shook the entire space, and the mountain started shaking intensely. Countless rocks started rolling down from the sky. You are asking me why I came back. You all killed my race. Slaughtered my race. Are you all going to write off this debt? The heavens don't care, I care. The heavens don't pity, I kill. The heavens come, I kill. I am willing to be a criminal for eternity. Boom. Waves of terrifying aura wantonly spread out. Along with every sentence that was spoken, the despair and terror that was being emitted became heavier. The enormous spiritual pressure had already shaken the entire origin sky peak to the point where it was on the verge of collapse. The majestic aura was like countless sharp blades, and everywhere it touched would turn into dust. Big and small air who were kneeling on the ground couldn't withstand the terrifying aura at all, and the flesh on their bodies started dissipating at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye. What was left behind was a pile of skeletons lying on the ground. Not long later, even the skeletons turned into dust, and even the primordial spirits weren't able to escape. Outsiders are incomparably savage, and killing is the law of the world. You all are the ugliness that the world gave birth to. Paragon Fa Lien was still very valiant. Under Yihua's savage aura, his expression actually didn't change, which meant that he had quite a lot of treasures on him. Yihua had met too many people on his path of cultivation. Which of the 7 deadly sins wasn't an outsider, and all of them were being chased by humans? How many outsider families were destroyed, and yet, no one took pity on them? Humans beheaded the heads of the outsider and laughed wildly. What is kindness? What is evil? Yihua didn't feel good if he didn't spit it out. These hypocritical paragons are all colluding with each other, and their crimes are monstrous. Paragon Fa Lien, come, let me see just how much you have improved during these few years. Paragon Fa Lien immediately let out an overflowing killing intent, and the surging spiritual pressure engulfed the entire place. Rumbling sounds rang out, and it was as if the end of the world had arrived. I shall let you have a taste of the pain back then. Buddha fire illumination. An enormous image could be seen appearing behind Paragon Fa Lien, and an aura that could shake the heavens pressed down. Yihua looked at the image faintly, not moving at all. The image slowly stretched out its enormous palm towards Yihua, and a golden flame that was like magma sprayed towards Yihua. Yihua's body was instantly devoured by the flame, and the scorching flame dyed the entire origin sky peak red. You shall die the same way you died back then. Paragon Fa Lien snorted coldly. You are merely a Buddha fire illumination. A sound suddenly rang out from within the flame, causing Paragon Fa Lien to be startled. However, when he saw the enormous image that appeared, Paragon Fa Lian's expression changed greatly. How can this be? How can he know Buddha fire illumination as well? This isn't possible. Furthermore, his Buddha fire illumination is actually black, just like a blackened Buddha. Paragon Fa Lian, you might not know this yet, but I know your ultimate technique as well. Right now what Paragon Fa Lian was thinking about was, why hasn't he been burned into ashes by Buddha fire illumination? Could it be that my body has already reached such a terrifying level? Sunfall heavenly fire. Yihua shouted out slowly. Chapter 560. Sovereign Fa Lian, go to hell with your repentance. That's where you belong. As for the others, I'll slowly send them down to keep you company. After speaking, the enormous black figure behind Yihua stretched out its palm, and a terrifying aura sprayed out. Black flames immediately enveloped Paragon Falian's body, and the Sunfall heavenly fire also landed on Paragon Falian's body. The black and yellow light exploded violently, and a terrifying cyclone covered the sky. Cracks began to appear on the entire Origin Heaven peak, and it looked like it would collapse at any moment. You will suffer retribution. You definitely will. The other supreme beings won't let you go. You will be killed again. Paragon Fa Lian's words gradually disappeared into the air, and with a wave of Yihua's hand, Paragon Fa Lian's storage bag fell into Yihua's hand, and Yihua's figure disappeared from the summit of the mountain. After Yihua left, the entire Origin Heaven peak started to shake, and along with the Sunfall heavenly fires devouring, the entire Origin Heaven peak started to fall apart. Yihua felt that this was really letting him off too easily. This was basically letting him die painlessly, and this was completely different from what he had planned. From the moment Yihua appeared until the end, the entire process only took about 5 minutes. In actuality, Yihua could have been faster, but Yihua couldn't help but want to continue chatting for a while. If not, he would be letting the other party die too easily. In the bedroom on the second floor of the bar, Yihua appeared. When Donghuang Baiji saw Yihua, she finally let out a sigh of relief. God bless me. I am safe and sound. When the few people from the 7 great sins saw that his honor had returned, and that Sovereign Fa Lian was most likely dead, everyone felt that Sovereign Fa Lian had died too easily, and there wasn't any process of despair at all. Although it had only been a few minutes, the space-time staff was almost exhausted. It seemed that the unborn child was even sucking the staff. How terrifying. Yihua hurriedly opened up Supreme Fa Lian's storage bag, and took out the blooming lotus flower. However, the lotus flower was a bit big to the point that it looked like a small bed. You all can leave first, Yihua said faintly. Wei Chang and the others bowed and retreated. Right now, this was the only thing that was useful. After taking back the space-time scepter, Qingya's face instantly started showing signs of pain again. Furthermore, the speed at which Qingya was sucking the space-time scepter even faster. Yihua didn't dare to think too much and carried Qingya into the lotus flower. Looking at how much pain Qingya was in, Yihua's mood gradually sunk. I hope that this is really useful. The lotus flower could be seen slowly closing, and Yihua stood at the side and quietly waited. Everyone remained silent, because they knew that if they were to speak now, they would definitely anger Yihua. Thus, they decided to just wait. After all, even Donghuang Baiji didn't say anything. Dong Huangli was tightly hugging onto her mother's leg, as she looked at the lotus worriedly. The good news was that Qingya's cries of pain had become much softer, and Yihua could feel that Qingya's aura had already stabilized, and there was no sign of Qingya being sucked. This little brat, when he comes out later, just wait and see how I, the Supreme Overlord, am going to spank him. Yihua, everything is fine now. Donghuang Baiji let out a breath of relief. Tonight can be said to be a daunting experience without any mishaps. Back then, when I gave birth to Ali, it was very smooth. With a plop, Ali came out. Yihua nodded his head, then looked at the other women and said gravely, "You all can go back first. Your Honor, let us continue to observe the situation. When the time comes, we will be able to help out," Zishan said respectfully. Everyone nodded their heads, and Yihua did not continue speaking and quietly waited Unknowingly, the darkness outside had dispersed, and a ray of light shone through the window. It seemed that the first day of the new year was a good day. However, when the sunlight shone onto the lotus, the entire lotus emitted out a colorful radiance, and the scene was instantly beautiful. Wah wah, wah. The sound of a baby crying rang out from within the lotus, and Yi Hua was completely stupefied. I didn't accompany Ali when she was born, and thus, I don't know how to feel. However, right now, I am accompanying Qingya, and this kind of feeling is very complicated. I don't even know what I should do. Should I laugh, or should I do something else? Little brother is born, Dong Huangli shouted out loudly. Everyone came back to their senses, and even Wei Chang, who was outside the door, walked into the lotus. All of Wei Chang's subordinates prostrated on the ground and shouted out loudly, "Congratulations, Your Honor! Little His Honor has been born. Everyone get up, you all have worked hard tonight." Yi Hua smiled, he smiled very happily. This little brat has finally calmed down. "Your Honor, you all have worked hard tonight." Yi Hua shook his head helplessly, then waved his hand, and everyone was dragged up from the lotus. At this time, the lotus slowly opened up, and Qingya could be seen sitting cross-legged on the lotus, while carrying a little guy in her bosom. This little brat, I am going to beat him to death. Yi Hua couldn't bear it anymore. To do such a thing before even being born, just what will happen in the future? Qingya hurriedly stopped Yi Hua and said, "What are you doing? Beating your son right after coming out?" When the little fellow saw his father, he seemed to be very afraid. He hid within his mother's bosom and shivered. From the looks of it, he knew that he had done something wrong and was feeling very embarrassed. A loving mother tends to spoil her son. Yi Hua didn't know why, but he said this sentence. "I am willing." Right now, Qingya didn't care about all those things. "My son is my life, he is so adorable. Mommy Qing, let me take a look at little brother." Dong Huangli ran over with small steps and stretched out her head to take a look at the little fellow. The little fellow looked very similar to Qingya. His eyes were very big, and his facial features were also very good. When he grows up, he will definitely become a lady killer. "Little brother, I am your big sister, do you understand?" Dong Huangli said very earnestly, as if she was taking in a little brother. The little fellow looked at his big sister, and was very confused. However, his bloodline was telling him that the person in front of him was his family. Thus he nodded his head. Everyone didn't expect that the little fellow would actually be able to understand. This is simply too mystical. "Qingya, this little fellow looks very similar to you. His nose and eyes are simply exactly the same." Dong Huangbaiji laughed. Dong Huangbaiji felt that the little fellow and Ali were very similar. Everyone agreed with Dong Huangbaiji's words. This caused Yi Hua to feel very displeased. "Why does my son not look like me? He clearly looks like me." Although Yi Hua said this, he knew that the child indeed looks like Qingya. However, the king's aura between the child's brows is exactly the same as him. Seems like the child will also become a ruler in the future. I wonder if Dong Huangbaiji is pregnant with a boy or a girl. I will know in another month or two. Everyone surrounded Qingya and looked at the little fellow who was in Qingya's bosom. At the start, the little fellow was very afraid of strangers, but gradually, he got used to it and knew how to smile. However, when he saw his father, he immediately shut his mouth, then buried his entire face into his mother's bosom. He was scared to death. Right now there was no mishap. Yi Hua said gravely, "Where is my son's red packet?" The corners of everyone's mouths twitched. How could they have prepared a red packet? They didn't expect their wife to give birth so quickly. "Your Honor, next time. If there's nothing else, we will take our leave first. Happy New Year, Your Honor." Lai Gu cupped his hands. Everyone immediately learned from Lai Gu's actions. And after saying that they would give the money to Lai Gu next time, they disappeared. Chapter 561. The corner of Yi Hua's mouth twitched. "The two of you are truly becoming more and more arrogant. To think that my son is actually not giving red packets." However, right at this moment, the phone in Yi Hua's pants kept on ringing. Yi Hua took out his phone and took a look. "At least you guys are tactful, knowing to send red packets." "Yi Hua, what's the matter?" Qingye carried her son and asked curiously. Oh, it's nothing much, they are all trash text messages, the kind that involves gambling. Yihua said faintly. It wasn't easy for me to obtain some private money, so how could I possibly hand it over? Come, let me hug my son. Yihua walked to the front of Qingye and said lightly. Qingye reminded. Our son didn't do it on purpose, don't hit him. Otherwise I won't let you off. Donghuang Baiji, who was at the side, laughed. Qingye's current state is exactly the same as me back then. My child is my lifeblood. All right, I won't hit you. Qingye carefully placed the child into her husband's embrace. However, the little fellow was grabbing onto his mother's hand tightly, and that expression of his seemed to be saying, Daddy is going to spank me. However, after Yihua hugged onto him, he shouted out angrily, Little bastard, I will beat you to death. As he spoke, he slapped his buttocks. The little fellow immediately burst into tears and waved his hands at his mother for help. Mom, save me. Qingye went into a daze for a moment, then immediately snatched her son over. Yehua! Papa, brother knows he's wrong. Don't hit him anymore. He's so pitiful. Dong Huangli was also pleading for her little brother. The little fellow was currently in his mother's embrace, and he didn't even dare to look at his father. His little body was shivering in fear, and there was even a handprint on his little butt. In actuality, how could Yihua possibly hit him hard? He was just smacking him to teach him a lesson. The situation just now was too dangerous, and he nearly made a huge mistake. If he didn't teach him a lesson, he wouldn't be able to live. Qingye hugged onto her son and coaxed, Don't cry with Mom here. Dad won't be able to bully you in the future. The little fellow was still wailing loudly and was completely unable to stop. What else could Qingye do? Yihua was only acting like this because he was worried about me. He should be hungry. Donghuang Baiji said. Donghuang Baiji had some experience with this. Qingye thought to herself, Yihua, you can go out first. Why would I want to go out? Yihua was confused. Haven't I inhaled before? That's embarrassing, we're already an old married couple. Dong Huangli was still a lot more sensible. Dong Huangli pulled onto her father's hand and said, Mommy Qing is going to feed little brother milk. Ali used to be like this too, we can't watch. Being persuaded by his daughter like this, Yihua felt very flabbergasted, and he could only carry his daughter and leave for a while. Daddy, what is little brother's name? Dong Huangli asked curiously while hugging onto her father. In actuality, he had already discussed with Qingye about the name of the name. My younger brother's name is Yi Yan. Yihua said lightly. 3 fires. Fire, fire, fire. Dong Huangli muttered a few words, sounds good. Ali, you have to take good care of your brother in the future, okay? You're my big sister now. Dong Huangli nodded her head and said earnestly. Daddy, you can be at ease. Ali will definitely take good care of little brother, and won't let others bully little brother. Ali still has to bring little brother out to play. Ali is still sensible. She is Papa's little cotton-padded jacket. Yihua was very gratified to have a daughter like Ali, who is obedient and sensible. That brat caused such a huge commotion when he was born, and even I, the Supreme Overlord, am unable to do anything to him. Dong Huangli smiled happily. My position in my father's heart is unshakable. After all, Ali is my father's first child, and furthermore, she is the most obedient and sensible child. That should be enough, let's go in. And I want to play with little brother. Yihua laughed. Your little brother doesn't even know how to walk yet. It's fine, Ali will teach little brother how to play with mud. On the morning of the first day of Chinese New Year, people woke up very early to eat. After that, they would wait to go out and pay their New Year's greetings, visit their relatives, and so on. The children who received their New Year's money were already impatient to go out and play. There were also a lot of people selling beef skewers and mutton skewers on the streets. In a city like Gaohai City, it was not allowed to set up stalls on the streets. However, most of the people had already gone back home to celebrate the new year, and Gaohai City seemed a bit desolate. However, in one of the villas, Sky Raising Guild's members were having a pretty good new year. When they woke up in the morning, Sky Raising Guild was even giving out all kinds of red envelopes, asking for good luck. Feng Tian and Feng Di didn't believe in the new year. For example, Wang Debao and Bai Cixin also gave out red packets for good luck. After all, in the new year, they had to work hard. They had to take back everything that they had lost in the past. Brother Qing, did you discover anything? Didn't you say that it would appear during the new year this year? Wang Debao asked while eating Kong Shifu instant noodles. In actuality, everyone was eating instant noodles. On the first day of Chinese New Year, a lot of shops would be closed. Even Sky Raising Guild was eating Lautan pickled vegetable instant noodles, and Feng Tian and Feng Di were the same as well. What a frugal guild. Instant noodles were enough. Sky Raising Guild's eyes slightly narrowed. Last night, there was indeed a very strong spiritual pressure. However, it was only for an instant, and it disappeared very quickly. I can only confirm that it came from the south. How strong is it? Feng Tian asked curiously. Sky Raising Guild drank a mouthful of soup, then let out a breath. It can kill you with a single slap, so don't think about it anymore. We are unable to move. Everyone. Kill Feng Tian with a single slap? Why doesn't Feng Tian believe it? He really wants to try and see if he can kill Feng Tian with a single slap. Sky Raising Guild said softly, Feng Tian, don't think about it anymore. You will really be killed with a single slap. Trust me, I won't lie to you. Feng Tian wasn't convinced. He shouted in a deep voice, there's still a secret weapon. This so-called secret weapon was another personality. Sky Raising Guild knew about it, so he said calmly, I know your secret weapon, so I will give you another slap. Actually, it will still be one slap. I'm sorry, I was just comforting you. Everyone. Sky Raising Guild picked up the instant noodles and drank the soup again. It felt great, then he put it down gently, as if he was afraid that the paper box would break. Actually, everyone, don't worry. Let's just ignore this kind of boss for the time being. Let's find a weaker one first and split the loot. Sky Raising Guild had been playing the Legend of Mir private server with Wang Debao recently. Everything was related to loot. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Let's let him be arrogant for a while, and when the people in the cultivation world can't do anything about it, we will save him. Then we will have the loot and reputation. Isn't that great? Sky Raising Guild added. Everyone nodded. Reputation was what Bai Cixin wanted, and it was more attractive than loot. Suddenly, Sky Raising Guild was stunned. The north has appeared, and they are quite strong. We can deal with them. In the snowy mountains in the north, a man looked at his hands and slowly closed his eyes. He murmured, I never thought that I Xiao Yi would be reborn again, and I have become an immortal venerable. The time for revenge is here. Chapter 562. At this moment, Xiao Yi's silvery hair hung down to his waist. He was wearing a white robe, looking like an immortal. Powerful spiritual energy hovered around him. Previously, Xiao Yi wasn't even an immortal sovereign, but after his rebirth, he had become an immortal venerable. His strength had increased by tens of times. Xiao Yi's powerful strength gave him incomparable confidence. He felt that he could even fight against Qingya and Black Robe. A black longsword suddenly appeared in Xiao Yi's hand. The sword's body emitted black starlight. If one looked closely, they would find that it was exactly the same as the Xian Yuan sword, only the color was different. Old friend, I'm very happy to see you. Xiao Yi's expression was calm and reserved, completely different from before. The black Xian Yuan sword in his hand vibrated slightly. It seemed to be very excited and wanted to start a massacre. Don't worry if there is a debt, we will get it back. Xiao Yi's eyes were filled with killing intent. He was now a terrifying immortal venerable. Whoever dared to defy him would be killed. Black Robe. This immortal supremacy still remembers the debt of forcing my beloved wife to her death. Qingya. This debt of forcing me to die, this immortal supremacy still remembers. And that man. The main culprit. This immortal supremacy will take them back one by one. In a flash, Xiao Yi disappeared and reappeared in his home. His daughters had just been born, and he had just taken a look at them. Now that he had been reborn, he would definitely let them live a good life. He would also let them become objects of respect. Shunan. Yuchi. Xiao Yi shouted with joy in his heart. However, the spacious villa seemed deserted. The table was covered with a layer of dust, as if no one had lived there for a long time. This caused Xiao Yi's expression to sink. He quickly rushed upstairs and opened every bedroom, but there was no one. Xiao Yi's face was very ugly. Thick veins popped out of his skin. Where are they? Where is he? My woman. My child. It must be Qinya. It must be Qinya who killed all of them. At that time, Qinya even said that she would spare their lives. I didn't expect that after I died. Qinya basically didn't let my family off. He couldn't find his children's aura at all. There was only one conclusion. His 2 children were dead. Shu Nan and the others were killed by Qinya. Qinya, you are so vicious. Voidless stage. This immortal sovereign wants you to pay with blood. After reincarnating, Xiao Yi had completely lost his rationality. He thought that Qinya had killed his woman and child. Your woman and child are all on the blue blaze star. How could you sense them? Because of this, Xiao Yi underwent a crazy change. The death of his wife and son caused Xiao Yi to lose all hope. It was as if he had to kill everyone in the world to get rid of this resentment. Xianyuan's sword once again appeared in Xiao Yi's hand, because Xiao Yi had decided to massacre Voidless Realm and take revenge for his wife and son. However, this was just the beginning. However, Xiao Yi suddenly discovered one thing. Where is Voidless Realm? He had no idea at all. Xiao Yi floated in the sky of the north once again, and with a sinister and scary look on his face he said, Voidless Realm. This immortal Empyrean will kill until you all come out. After saying that, he swooped down. Below him were some small clans in the north. They were celebrating the first day of the new year. Children were building snowmen outside, playing merrily. However, within a few minutes, the happy house had turned into a living hell. Corpses were strewn all over the ground, and the white snowman was stained with the blood of the children. The children who had been laughing happily just a moment ago had fallen beside the snowman, and their eyes were filled with confusion. Why did that uncle want to kill me? Why did he want to kill my father, mother, grandpa, grandma, big brother, big sister? Why did this happen? Xiao Yi looked at everything in front of him coldly. There was no why. Because this immortal Empyrean just wanted to kill. I want to use endless slaughter to take revenge for my wife and son. Cruel slaughters were being carried out on the first day of the new year. On average, a small family was being exterminated every hour, and the methods used to kill people were simply inhumane. However, some of the scenes were taken by people who were about to die and uploaded to the Cultivation Worlds forum. The video had the intention of warning everyone to be careful of this Xiao Yi. He had already gone crazy. Such a video immediately swept through the entire cultivation world. Xiao Yi, who had disappeared for a few months, actually appeared again. Furthermore, this time, he actually massacred some small families. He was extremely hateful. Everyone prayed to Voidless Realm to come out and kill this Xiao Yi. This Xiao Yi is simply a scum. Right now, Sky Holding Realms team was watching the video of Xiao Yi killing people. What is going on with this Xiao Yi? Why is he randomly killing people? Wang Dabao was puzzled. Initially, he thought that Xiao Yi's family must have met with some kind of mishap when they disappeared. However, this Xiao Yi suddenly appeared again, and furthermore, he started killing people without any restraint. Sky Holding Realm laughed lightly. Xiao Yi is the target this time. The 4 people at the side were startled, and Feng Tian said faintly, This Xiao Yi is the person who reincarnated this time? Sky Holding Realm nodded his head. Bai Sixen said confusedly, Then does that mean that Xiao Yi was killed at the start? Feng Tian snorted coldly. Who cares if he was killed or not? That black weapon in his hand is not bad. I want it. Don't worry. The more powerful the person who reincarnated, the more treasures they would have on them. Sky Holding Realm said faintly. Big Brother Qing, then, when are we going to make a move? Wang Dabao asked curiously. Sky Holding Realm laughed lightly. Let him continue killing for a while first. If not, where would the hatred come from? Our appearance wouldn't be that shocking. This was precisely the effect that Bai Cixin needed, while Feng Tian didn't need it. Thus, Bai Cixin appeared very impatient, and turned around to go upstairs. On the other side, Yihua's family of 5 returned to Voidless Realm. After all, Voidless Realm's spiritual energy was rich, and the spiritual energy in Voidless Realm was beneficial to children. Qinya hugged onto her son, and a motherly radiance could be seen on the corner of her mouth. In Qinya's eyes, right now, there was only her son, and Yihua was no longer in her eyes. Dong Huangli stood at the side and played with her little brother. Dong Huangli was very happy. I really hope that my little brother can grow up quickly. Yihua and Donghuang Baiji stood at the side. Yihua felt very helpless as he asked, Baiji, were you like this back then as well? Donghuang Baiji snuggled into her husband's embrace. That's right, I was like this when Ali was born. However, in order to keep it a secret, I didn't protect her every day like Qinya. I truly let our daughter down. Why didn't you come and look for me? Yihua said faintly. Donghuang Baiji punched onto Yihua's chest with her small fist. You heartless man, you didn't even want to see me. At that time, I hated you to death, and I even decided to never see you again. Your Majesty's temper isn't small, just that, I never would have thought that you would fall into my hands again, and right now, you are even pregnant with a second child. Yihua couldn't help but tease Donghuang Baiji. I feel that my current life isn't bad. Donghuang Baiji said coquettishly, bad man, haha. Yihua laughed heartily. I like the way the Empress is acting. Chapter 563. Donghuang Baiji pinched onto Yihua's waist and acted coquettishly. Yihua lightly caressed his beloved wife's hair. In this world only the two of you would dare to pinch me like this. We are your wives. If you don't give us a massage, are you going to give other women a massage? Donghuang Baiji said proudly. Right now, she wasn't even afraid of Yihua anymore. It was better not to talk about such topics as they were very jealous. Report. A guard suddenly rushed in. When he saw his empress nestled in the man's embrace, he was instantly shocked, and hurriedly squatted down and lowered his head. Donghuang Baiji's expression sunk as she left Yihua's embrace. What are you making a fuss about? Please forgive me, Your Majesty, the guard said while trembling with fear. Speak. What is it? The guard said in a low voice. Your Majesty, just a few hours ago, there was a massacre in the north. A few small families were brutally exterminated. Qinya looked towards Yihua, seemingly asking, Aren't you the one watching over that group of people? Why did he suddenly come to the north to kill people? Yihua was also very puzzled. If something were to really happen, Brett would definitely come and inform me. Oh, Yihua asked faintly. It's Xiaoyi. Xiaoyi? Yihua and Donghuang Baiji clearly went into a daze for a moment, then looked towards Qinya, who was not far away. Didn't Xiaoyi get killed by Qinya? Why did Xiaoyi appear again? Qinya had obviously heard it as well, and she was confused. That night, I had clearly already killed him. I saw it with my own eyes, and he had already turned into ashes. How could he still be alive? While carrying her son, Qinya walked over and asked gravely, Are you sure it's Xiaoyi? The guard nodded. You can leave first. Yihua said faintly. The guard didn't dare to say anything and retreated first. Yihua didn't doubt that Qinya released Xiaoyi. He was just curious about how Xiaoyi managed to survive. However, when he thought about the 5-year cycle, could it be that it started with Xiaoyi? Rebirth? The three of them looked at the video on the forum and confirmed that it was Xiaoyi. This Xiaoyi really has the essence of a cockroach. Yihua said indifferently. Compared to Xiaoyi, Yihua liked that blood demon more. Look at other people. In the past, all of them wanted to bring calamity to the common people. After being screwed twice in a row, he kept a low profile and obediently worked at the bar. As for Xiaoyi, he had probably been screwed several times already, but he still didn't know how to repent. He was simply hopeless. Couldn't he just live an honest life? Look at the Supreme Overlord. Despite possessing such great power, the Supreme Overlord never flaunts it, nor does he bully the weak. It shouldn't be too much for him to receive the Good Citizen Award, right? I'll deal with it again, Qinya said coldly. Not receiving any attention at all, the moderator doesn't even know how to add a gem. Qing Tian let out a light sigh. I was too careless. However, it doesn't matter. When we appear on time tonight, they will definitely be shocked. Bai Cixin nodded her head and said, "That's right, they don't care about us right now. When we become famous, there will naturally be a lot of people commenting on us. After that, we will be able to recruit a lot of powerful experts. Voidless Realm, if Ying family can claim to be a big shot, we can do it too." Qing Tian's eyes flickered with a strange color. Is the conspiracy behind this twisted human nature, or moral degeneration? Bai Cixin had a fanatical look on her face, as if she had already been brainwashed by Qing Tian. Wang Debao, who was sitting at the side, had a worried look on his wife's face. This Qing Tian was just like the head of CX, bewitching everyone, pulling out everyone's desires, and then controlling them. What a formidable control technique. Right now, it was already 8 p.m. Xiaoyi was sitting at a food street, eating mala soup, and his eyes were looking at the note. There were a lot of families' names written on the note, and there were already more than 10 families whose names were marked with red bars. Just that, I didn't expect that after I killed so many people, no one from Voidless Realm actually appeared. This is truly cold-blooded. Not coming out, I don't believe it. If I, Venerable Immortal Xiao, slaughter Voidless Realm, I won't be able to eat for the rest of my life. Boss, your food is here. A bowl of fragrant braised meat rice was served in front of Xiao Yi. Where's the egg? Xiao Yi said gravely. I'm sorry, I didn't hear it just now. I will add the egg for you now. You don't have any professionalism at all. I clearly asked you to add the egg just now. Chapter 564. While eating the fragrant braised meat rice, Xiaoyi looked at the name written on the paper. Next one, it's the Chen family. The family head, Chen Xuanzong, a dark horse from the north. Currently, Chen Xuanzong was enjoying his dinner at home. There was only one person eating at the 8 meters long dining table. Chen Xuanzong didn't have a girlfriend. Although there were many women chasing after him, Chen Xuanzong only had Qingya in his heart. Chen Xuanzong's family members had all passed away. Therefore, he was the only one left in the Chen family. Currently, Chen Xuanzong was holding a tablet and watching a video. A trace of blood could be seen at the corner of his mouth. This Xiao Yi finally came out. I was just worried that I couldn't find him. God bless my Chen family. Let me kill this Xiao Yi with my spear. Chen Xuanzong cut a piece of steak and stuffed it into his mouth. Blood could be seen at the corner of his mouth. At first glance, the steak was only half done, and there was still blood in it. The other servants were also shocked to see their boss eating like this, but it was just for a while, as if they were used to it. When Chen Xuanzong finished his delicious steak and was about to eat with a piece of tissue, a huge aura appeared. Chen Xuanzong's face tightened. With a bang, the door was thrown open and the expensive furniture was smashed into pieces. Xiao Yi walked in slowly. When Chen Xuanzong saw that it was Xiao Yi, his eyes shone with passion. There's a path to heaven, but you don't want to take it. There's no door to hell, but you insist on barging in. Save me the trouble of finding you. Chen Xuanzong, if you kill yourself, I'll let you die in one piece. Xiao Yi shouted coldly with the black Xianyuan sword in his hand. Chen Xuanzong laughed. Xiao Yi, you still like to act tough. Hee, I didn't get my title of Act Tough King for nothing. Xiao Yi said disdainfully. A small family head dares to act tough in front of me. Chen Xuanzong stood up and emitted killing intent. Since you're here, it's for the best. I'll settle old and new scores together. Do we still have old scores? I really don't remember. Xiao Yi said calmly. He had too much blood on his hands. He couldn't remember all of them. Chen Xuanzong's face turned cold. He shouted coldly. You killed dozens of my family members, and you still don't remember. Chen family? I'm sorry, I really don't remember. Maybe you can give me more details. Haha, have you forgotten that you killed my entire family for the Xianyuan sword? This time, Xiao Yi finally remembered and laughed. You are the child that was left alone? Who would have thought that this would be fate? Killing you today can be considered as truly destroying your Chen clan. Kill me? Xiao Yi, do you really think I'm that easy to kill? Next year, today will be the anniversary of your death. No one will go and mend the grass on your grave. Xiao Yi was helpless and patted the dust off his sleeves. Don't worry, the grass on your grave won't be too short. Chen Xuanzong said faintly. Let's go out and fight. Sure. Xiao Yi readily agreed. The two of them came to a nearby bamboo forest. The temperature in the north was extremely low, especially at night. The cold wind howled, and it was bone-chilling. Right now it was probably a few degrees below zero. Rustling sounds could be heard from the bamboo forest. Fallen leaves fell down, as if hinting at some kind of message. Xiao Yi and Chen Xuanzong stood opposite each other. This was a fated battle. Chen Xuanzong, the Devil Emperor, had come back to this world to take revenge. Moreover, he had been looking for a chance to kill Xiao Yi. Now the time had come. Killing Xiao Yi would make him more famous. Immortal Emperor versus Devil Emperor. However, Xiao Yi was probably not an immortal emperor anymore. He had already ascended to the immortal reverent realm. However, Chen Xuanzong, the Devil Emperor, was not someone to be trifled with. A spear appeared in Chen Xuanzong's hand. When the spear appeared, a horrifying aura exploded. The surrounding bamboos were all vaporized, and an empty space was formed. The entire spear shone with golden radiance. The sharp spearhead shone with a lethal aura. Complicated patterns were engraved on the spear's body, flickering slightly. 6 shadowy moon. Chen Xuanzong shouted and pointed the spear at the sky. A clump of golden radiance appeared in the pitch-black sky. In an instant it descended with a violent aura, just like a tornado. The spearhead absorbed the might of the sky and became even more dazzling. The violent aura roared in all directions, and the rumbling sound pierced through the heavens and earth. Xiao Yi frowned. You actually have an ancient godly artifact. That's right. The 6 shadowy moon in Chen Xuanzong's hand was an ancient godly artifact. It was a weapon that came from a devil emperor. Chen Xuanzong could be considered to be a patient person. He actually didn't reveal the ancient godly artifact in his hand. If he did, he might also be one of the aristocratic families. Chen Xuanzong came back for revenge. Moreover, he didn't want Xiao Yi to die so easily. Of course, it was also for Qingya. Consolidating his own strength was just to live a good life with Qingya. He didn't want to fight for anything. That's right. My 6 shadowy moon is an ancient godly artifact, Xiao Yi. Tonight will be the day you die. Having an ancient godly artifact was a form of reliance. One should know that even a big shot like the Ying family didn't have an ancient godly artifact. They only had a lot of ancient godly items. Ha ha ha. Xiao Yi suddenly laughed. Then he swung the Xianyuan sword in his hand. If it was in the past, I might be a little afraid. However, my Xianyuan sword has already surpassed the level of an ancient godly item. It has reached the level of an ancient godly item. After he finished speaking, the Xianyuan sword in Xiao Yi's hand trembled. A half-moon black sword aura with killing intent attacked Chen Xuanzong. He really started fighting without saying anything. Chen Xuanzong snorted lightly. The 6 shadowy moon in his hand stabbed forward. Instantly, golden radiance shone brightly. The two clashed. The color of the world changed. The surface of the earth cracked, forming a bottomless ravine. Gusts of astral winds swept through the surroundings. This was the power of an ancient godly artifact. When the two clashed, even the color of the world changed. The radiance emitted from the collision illuminated the entire world. The result of this clash was 50-50. It was a tie. Not bad. Xiao Yi said indifferently. I didn't expect your Xianyuan sword to evolve. Consider yourself lucky. The 6 shadowy moon in Chen Xuanzong's hand wasn't any weaker than Xiao Yi's Xianyuan sword. Sometimes luck is also a kind of strength. Just like how your luck wasn't that good, and your entire clan was annihilated by me. These words stabbed into Chen Xuanzong's sore spot. His expression suddenly changed. The 6 shadowy moon in his hand seemed to have sensed its master's anger. Scarlet flame twilight cloud. Chen Xuanzong waved the ancient godly artifact in his hand. In an instant, he stabbed forward 100 times. Rays of bright golden radiance flowed out. Those 100+ spears seemed to be drawing something. A golden figure appeared. It looked like fire and clouds at the same time. It was impossible to tell if it was real or fake. However, this was something released by an ancient godly artifact. How could it be weak? The golden figure was also holding a spear in his hand. It emitted an astonishing aura, as expected of an ancient godly artifact. Chapter 565. Right now, Chen Xuanzong had the advantage in numbers. This was the unique skill of the 6 shadow moons. It was as if Chen Xuanzong was in possession of an ancient godly artifact. Moreover, it was an ancient godly artifact that could move. Xiao Yi was a little shocked. If it was the past him, he wouldn't be able to defeat his opponent. But now he was an immortal venerable. How could he be afraid of this? Heaven punishment sword art, Brahma's mandate. Xianyuan soared into the sky. Xiao Yi roared furiously. Whoosh! Whoosh! 9 Xianyuan swords actually appeared in the sky. Each Xianyuan sword was condensing a terrifying spiritual qi, which spread in all directions. Chen Xuanzong didn't dare to be careless. He pointed the 6 moons at the sword array and shouted, Star Luo chant. A dazzling light shot out from the spearhead. A dragon roar resounded between the heavens and earth. It actually turned into a golden dragon in the sky. A monstrous pressure was condensing. The golden dragon opened its mouth, and a golden flame instantly shot towards the 9 Xianyuan swords. The golden silhouette beside him rushed towards Xiao Yi, which surprised Xiao Yi. 2 against 1 was indeed advantageous. Xiao Yi's speed was extremely fast. He instantly dodged the golden silhouette's attack and quickly made a hand seal. Fall! The 9 Xianyuan swords immediately shot out 9 rays of black light, and collided with the golden flame spat out by the dragon. Boom! Boom! The dark night was as bright as day. Huge waves of air spread out like a cutting machine. The golden dragon disappeared, and the Xianyuan sword fell into Xiao Yi's hand. The collision of this move was also evenly matched, which meant that the collision of ancient divine weapons was also ineffective. However, Xiao Yi was a little annoyed. The golden silhouette kept chasing after him. He couldn't even kill it because it was an energy body. Even if he cut off its hand, it would immediately regrow and continue to chase after him. Only now did Xiao Yi realize that the ancient divine tool was undying. He could only kill Chen Xuanzong first. Then, everything would be over. He couldn't gain any advantage in the collision of ancient divine tools. Therefore, he could only rely on his own strength. Xiao Yi was smart for once. Chen Xuanzong was only a devil sovereign. His overall strength was weaker than an immortal venerable. If Xiao Yi was still an immortal sovereign, it was still unknown who would win. Chen Xuanzong immediately became passive. He felt that Xiao Yi's speed was too fast. If it wasn't for the golden man restraining him, he would have been defeated. Chen Xuanzong, what's wrong? What are you hiding for? Xiao Yi shouted coldly with an insolent aura. The more he fought, the more smoothly he got. Xiao Yi, you win. Chen Xuanzong was well aware that he couldn't gain the upper hand in terms of weapons. Even in terms of movement techniques, his opponent was much stronger. It was only a matter of time before he lost. Furthermore, there was a time limit for the Golden Man. If Xiao Yi lost the restraint of the Golden Man, he would soon be killed by him. That's not a very good message. Xiao Yi smiled and said, Chen Xuanzong, don't you want to take revenge? What are you running for? Fight me to the death. Xiao Yi, just you wait. One day I will kill you. Chen Xuanzong began fleeing at full speed, because the golden figure was about to disappear. However, how could Xiao Yi let Chen Xuanzong escape? The Xianyuan sword in his hand instantly blocked Chen Xuanzong's path of retreat. At the same time, he shook off the attacking golden figure. Then he charged towards Chen Xuanzong. Chen Xuanzong cursed in his heart. How did Xiao Yi's strength change so much? He didn't have such strength in the past. Seems like I was too careless. I should have killed him earlier. Suddenly, Xiao Yi felt the aura behind him disappear. Then he smiled and said, Chen Xuanzong, without the golden man, let's see how long you can last. Chen Xuanzong stared at Xiao Yi. I can't run anymore. I can only fight with my life. Xiao Yi, if you are capable, let's fight 3 years later. Xiao Yi was amused. 3 years later? You read too many novels, right? I will take your life in 3 seconds. You. Chen Xuanzong felt helpless. The difference in strength was his weakness. If Xiao Yi didn't have an ancient divine weapon, he could still kill him even if he had the strength. Unfortunately, Xiao Yi had an ancient divine weapon and great strength. Chen Xuanzong felt that he could only fight with his life. Seeing Chen Xuanzong's action, Xiao Yi sneered. He really came to die. That spear is really good. However, just when Xiao Yi was about to attack, 5 people suddenly appeared. This situation made Xiao Yi and Chen Xuanzong a bit dazed. That's right, the people who came were the Justice and Order Alliance. It was exactly 10 p.m., no more and no less. Wang Debao was holding a selfie stick and a phone, facing the scene. The Cultivation World's live broadcast was online. Hello everyone, we are the Justice and Order Alliance. The one standing in front of us is the Act Tough King, Xiao Yi, and the one over there, seems to be Comrade Chen Xuanzong. Looking at the scene, he should have gone through a big battle. It's already a miracle that he is still alive. Chen Xuanzong, Wang Debao said again. We are the Justice and Order Alliance. Please follow our WeChat account. We welcome like-minded brothers to join our ranks and make the world more beautiful. Those who are close to us can come and take a look at the scene. After that, Wang Debao ended the live broadcast. It was just an advertisement. It wasn't necessary to keep the live broadcast going. Xiao Yi slowly turned around and looked at the group of people he knew. What are you guys doing here? Xiao Yi questioned. Chen Xuanzong, who was at the side, was startled. These people know me. Doesn't that mean I'm dead for sure? Am I so unlucky? Qing Tiandi took a step forward and spread out his hands. Xiao Yi, you should know what we are going to do. You should know. You want to kill me? Xiao Yi's face turned cold, and a violent aura suddenly appeared. This shocked Chen Xuanzong. It seems that Xiao Yi didn't use his true strength just now. It seems that he was just playing with me. Damn it. Qing Tiandi sighed and said indifferently, Xiao Yi, we didn't expect you to be the first person to reincarnate. Maybe this is the will of the heavens. Our former comrade has become like this. Xiao Yi laughed. Qing Tiandi, I might have been afraid of you in the past. But now, I'm not afraid of you. Xiao Yi's aura rose again, and the whole ground started to tremble. Cracks even appeared on the ground. The air was like boiling water, and the temperature was rising rapidly. Chen Xuanzong, who was at the side, finally knew the true strength of this Act Tough King. If I didn't have an ancient godly artifact, I might not even be able to resist him for half a minute. Why is he so strong? Qing Tiandi smiled and took a step back. Behind him, Feng Tian walked out and stretched his neck. Chapter 566. However, Xiao Yi had never seen this pair of weird-looking gloves before. Feng Tian was just messing around when he slaughtered the Tang family that night. He still kept his trump card. Sensing the terrifying aura coming from the gloves, Xiao Yi's expression turned gloomy. He felt that this wasn't an ancient godly artifact. What is it? Could there be something even more powerful than this ancient godly artifact? Xiao Yi, kill yourself now, and I'll leave your corpse intact. Feng Tian shouted coldly. With half of his mask on, he looked extremely ferocious and mysterious. Unexpectedly, his words made Chen Xuanzong laugh. Ha ha ha. Xiao Yi, you didn't expect this, right? This is a slap to your face, right? Ha ha. Shut up. Xiao Yi's Xianyuan sword instantly slashed towards the laughing Chen Xuanzong. Qing Tian muttered. Feng Tian seemed to resist, but he still disappeared on the spot. Just as Chen Xuanzong was about to block the incoming sword chi, he felt like he fell into a warm embrace. The scene froze at this moment. Wang Debao took out his phone and took a picture. Then he uploaded it to the Cultivation World's forum. Title: Justice Alliance saves Chen Xuanzong. The previous picture was still attached below. It seemed very lively. In addition to Chen Xuanzong's panicked expression and Feng Tian's condescending attitude, it seemed very gay. Feng Tian leaned down slightly and hugged Chen Xuanzong with his right hand. Chen Xuanzong was half lying in Feng Tian's embrace. The two of them were looking at each other. At this moment, the background music should be played again to confirm the look in each other's eyes. Chen Xuanzong looked at the golden red eyes and the mask, and he seemed a little panicked. What the hell is this? You were saved. Feng Tian endured the pain in his heart and said such a sentence. Wang Debao accepted this sentence very well, and then sent it to the forum. What a touching sentence. I was saved? Can't I accept it? Are you shameless? Feng Tian felt like he was going to vomit. He shouted towards Qing Tian. Is that enough? Qing Tian was looking at the replies on the forum and felt that it was enough. All right, let's get down to business. Feng Tian's hand suddenly loosened, and Chen Xuanzong was thrown onto the ground. Are you sick? Feng Tian slowly turned around. His eyes emitted a bone-chilling killing intent. Chen Xuanzong immediately shut his mouth. This man is even more terrifying than Xiao Yi. Sheng, today I will execute you in the name of justice. Feng Tian spoke according to his script, and Wang Debao's task was to record this battle. Of course, he still had to edit out the parts that needed to be edited out. Xiao Yi didn't say anything. A vast spirit energy gathered in the clouds. Today, I'll let you see my true strength. Suddenly, the spiritual energy in the clouds descended and covered Xiao Yi. The terrifying spiritual energy was like a raging wave that pierced through heaven and earth. In the surroundings, there were a lot of people who had come because of the fame. When they saw such a terrifying scene, they did not dare to get close. If they were killed, it would be such a waste. A moment later, the world returned to darkness. Xiao Yi's entire body emitted a pure white light. He was so extraordinary that people couldn't help but want to worship him. I didn't expect you to have such strength in just a few months. No wonder you're so arrogant. Feng Tian said softly. The gloves on his hands didn't show any signs of weakening. It was a prehistoric godly item that had shocking battle strength. Xiao Yi's temperament became faintly discernible just now. Ants, why aren't you kneeling down and submitting to me? These words were completely reasonable. Then take my punch first. Feng Tian shouted. The gloves on his hands seemed to have sensed its master's anger and started to move. Without any exaggerated destruction, Feng Tian punched out with a loud bang. This was the difference between godly items. For example, ancient godly items would release their power and greatly weaken themselves. However, prehistoric godly items didn't have such exaggerated special effects. By condensing all their power, the power produced would be horrifying. Xiao Yi snorted. He didn't see the true nature of the gloves. He raised his Xianyuan sword and stabbed out. A terrifying black radiance that brought along destructive power struck towards Feng Tian's fist. Feng Tian didn't have the slightest bit of fear. After all, this was a genuine prehistoric godly item. Lowly ant die. Xiao Yi shouted, and the black radiance on Xianyuan's sword became even more terrifying. Feng Tian laughed, seemingly mocking Xiao Yi's ignorance. When the gloves and Xianyuan sword came into contact, there wasn't any explosion, because the tip of Xianyuan's sword began to bend, as if a piece of metal was being squeezed by a powerful force. Xiao Yi opened his eyes wide and looked at his Xianyuan sword in disbelief as it started to bend. This is impossible. How did you do it? Did you use some sort of smokescreen? Xiao Yi muttered. He was completely unable to accept what was happening in front of him. This is my own Xianyuan sword. How can this be? In actuality, this Xianyuan sword is only an imitation. The real Xianyuan sword is still in Voidless Realm. Xiao Yi, you overestimate yourself too much. You are nothing more than an insignificant chess piece in this world. Qing Tian laughed lightly. Xiao Yi abruptly retreated and threw away the Xianyuan sword in his hand. If not, that fist would have injured him. The Xianyuan sword that looked like a scrap metal fell onto the ground. Feng Tian didn't mind it at all, and the intersecting golden and red radiance on the Xianyuan sword was sucked clean in an instant. Afterward, the might emitted from the gloves increased by a bit once again. What kind of weapon is this? Xiao Yi panicked. The imposing manner he had just a moment ago was thrown to the back of his head, and he no longer dared to act arrogantly. The other party destroyed his weapon with a single punch and even absorbed the weapon's energy. How could he not be shocked? Xiao Yi, I told you, if you kill yourself, I'll leave you with an intact corpse. Feng Tian swung his fist once again. This time, Xiaoyi won't be able to escape death. Chen Xuanzong's jaw was about to fall onto the ground. Xiao Yi's weapon is an ancient godly artifact. This man's gloves are actually able to destroy an ancient godly artifact? Am I seeing things? Xiao Yi's expression was very grave, and suddenly, he looked towards Qing Tian who was smiling at the side. This damned fellow. As long as I kill him, there should still be a bit of hope. As for strength, Xiaoyi felt that Qing Tian's strength shouldn't be very strong. After all, last time, Qing Tian didn't even participate in the battle at all. With this thought in mind, Xiaoyi didn't think too much about it, and turned around to attack Qing Tian. And when Feng Tian saw that Xiaoyi had found his target, he actually didn't chase after Xiaoyi. Instead, he looked as if he was watching a show. Chapter 567. Qing Tian naturally saw Feng Tian's action and laughed lightly. Of course, he didn't put Xiaoyi, who suddenly appeared in his eyes, and he just stood there motionlessly. Big brother Qing, be careful. Wang Debao couldn't help but shout out. This Qing Tian is actually standing there motionlessly. Don't get careless. Bai Cixin and Feng Di who were at the side didn't say anything, seemingly wanting to see just what kind of person Qing Tian is and how strong he is. After all, Qing Tian has always been the one giving orders to everyone. If he doesn't have powerful strength, how can he be the team leader? This scene was seen by Qing Tian. Xiaoyi, who was crazily slaughtering, arrived in front of Qing Tian, but Qing Tian still didn't move. However, right at this moment, Xiaoyi's body actually stopped. If the spiritual sword were to move forward a centimeter, it would be able to touch Qing Tian's forehead, and even penetrate through his head. However, Xiaoyi was unable to do it, because his body couldn't move at all. Xiaoyi, actually we used to be a very good team, what a pity. Qing Tian slowly said. Seeing Xiaoyi struggling in midair, everyone was shocked. Just how did Qing Tian do this? Although in Feng Di's eyes, Xiaoyi is a bit weak, but to control Xiaoyi like this, even Feng Di wouldn't be able to do it, let alone Wang Debao and Bai Cixin. Chen Xuanzong who was at the side was stupefied. This man is too terrifying, isn't he? Xiaoyi's powerful spiritual energy disappeared in an instant. Qing Tian. You guys are ruthless. Xiaoyi's gaze was filled with unwillingness. I just reincarnated this morning, and I didn't expect that I would die in less than a day. Qing Tian took out a napkin, wiped the back of his hand, then folded it and said lightly, Xiaoyi, it's not that we are ruthless, but since we are already dead, why bother reincarnating? You know that we are going to capture those who reincarnated. Today, I, Xiaoyi, have nothing to say about falling into your hands, but I still have a request. Xiaoyi seemed to have given up on resisting, because the other party was too strong. Even without Qing Tian, there was still Feng Di. Qing Tian nodded his head. If I can do it, I will satisfy you. Destroy Voidless Realm. Xiaoyi said coldly. Qing Tian frowned, then raised his head and looked towards Xiaoyi. All right, I promise you. Give me a quick death. Xiaoyi slowly closed his eyes. There was a hint of exhaustion on his face. In the end, Xiaoyi was also a pitiful person. He only wanted the Xiao family to become stronger, and for his wife and children to live a different life. Everyone had this kind of thought, but everyone's method was different. Xiaoyi was one of those people who chose the wrong method. If he had submitted to Death Mage right from the start, there wouldn't be such a situation right now. He might even be able to live happily with his family right now, and he might even have the chance to revive his wife. All right, I'll satisfy your request. Qing Tian smiled and pointed at Xiaoyi's forehead with his index finger. Xiaoyi trembled violently and his skin turned gray. Then he fell to the ground lifeless. Xiaoyi's storage bag fell into the hands of heaven and earth. This rebirth usually brought along good things, just like the dragon blade that was given to him at level 100. Debao, you have to cut off what needs to be cut off, okay? Qing Tian reminded him. Oh, alright. Wang Debao said blankly. This move that Wang Debao had just performed had shocked everyone. Looking at Qing Tian said faintly, your performance today isn't good, so your distribution will be a bit less. Qing Tiandi didn't say anything, which could be considered as him agreeing. Wang Debao's performance is not bad, and his photography skills are also good. Qing Tiandi started to comment. Wang Debao laughed foolishly. I often help my wife take photos, so I practiced it. Bai Cixin glared at her husband. How can you say something like this? Haha, from now on, you will be the team's publicist. Qing Tiandi patted on Wang Debao's shoulder. This made Wang Debao a bit scared. The method that Qing Tiandi used to kill Xiao Yi was too terrifying. It was practically no different from killing an ant. Don't worry, I will do it well, Wang Debao said sincerely. That is your team still lacking people? A soft voice sounded from the side. Chen Xuanzong could be seen walking over slowly. Just now he saw Xiao Yi die, and his mood was very good. Although he wasn't taking revenge for himself, he still saw his enemy die. Qing Tiandi laughed loudly. You are most welcome. Thank you. Chen Xuanzong felt that he had found a team. This group of people is too strong. If I join them, I will definitely be able to kill that damned Long Out Yen and save Qingya. In actuality, Chen Xuanzong was a bit scared, because he had just heard a lot of things. If he were to leave just like that, he would most likely be killed. Knowing the strength of the other party, how would Chen Xuanzong dare to leave? Therefore, he could only request to join them. Furthermore, the other party's target seemed to be Voidless Realm. Just thinking about that Long Out Yen hiding in Voidless Realm made Chen Xuanzong tremble in anger. Qing Tiandi opened up his arms and shouted gravely, from today onwards, our Justice Alliance will officially fire the first shot. Also, we welcome new comrades to join us. At such an exciting moment, we should go and do something. How about we grab some skewers? Wang Debao suggested. Qing Tiandi nodded. Good idea. However, it's the first day of Chinese New Year. There shouldn't be any restaurants that are open, right? I know a restaurant that is open. The chicken wings there are very delicious, Chen Xuanzong said. After all, I have just joined them. It's not bad to treat them to supper. Qing Tiandi was very happy. All right, let our new members lead the way. Then how are we going to deal with Xiao Yi's corpse? Wang Debao asked curiously. Qing Tiandi sighed lightly. No matter what, we are still colleagues. Let's take a photo as a souvenir. Everyone. Chen Xuanzong cursed in his heart. Xiao Yi is already dead, and you are still taking a photo as a souvenir. Damn pervert. However, Qing Tiandi's move just now had indeed frightened everyone, and thus, no one dared to offend him. And the result was Chen Xuanzong and Wang Debao held on to Xiao Yi's corpse and had a big reunion. Then, Qing Tiandi burned Xiao Yi's corpse with fire. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I hope that Xiao Yi can be a good person in his next life and live a peaceful life. Those who died were all greedy people. Laowu Barbecue was quite famous in Zijin City. Even if it was the first night of Chinese New Year, the place would still be packed with people. The 6 members of Justice Alliance finally managed to get a seat. Chapter 568. Feng Tian and Feng Di remained silent. Wang Debao and Bai Cixin were already used to it, but Chen Xuanzong, who had just arrived, was not used to it. The weak are prey to the strong will naturally get it first. Chen Xuanzong said solemnly. Qing Tiandi patted onto Chen Xuanzong's shoulder and said earnestly, Young man, your life is too short. If you were as long as me, you would understand. Seeing that Chen Xuanzong was unwilling to accept it, Qing Tiandi planned to use his own words to convince Chen Xuanzong, to let him understand that being long is very useful. The other 4 immediately ignored him. This Chen Xuanzong is going to be brainwashed again. Right now, the Cultivation World's Forum was in an uproar. The Righteous Alliance had really destroyed Xiao Yi, and even insta-killed him. There is also a fellow who wore boxing gloves, and it seems like he was able to defeat Xiao Yi as well. This is truly terrifying. That previous post was immediately dug out by someone, and the number of comments reached several tens of thousands. The moderator even added a gem to the post. Justice Alliance is too awesome. How do I join? I want to join too. My God, I want to join too. This is the place that I yearn for. That's right, Voidless Realm and Ing family don't care about anything. We might as well join this Justice Alliance. That's right, finally, a powerful organization stood out and ended this ridiculous monopoly. Only by joining the Justice Alliance can my life be guaranteed. I want to leave the South. I want to leave the North too. A large number of people who wanted to leave appeared on the Cultivation Worlds forum. Qing Tiandi was very satisfied with everyone's attitude. This is the right choice. There is no need to rely on those two big powers. Should I learn more about Justice Alliance? Within Voidless Realm, Yihua and his two wives were also looking at the post on the Cultivation Worlds forum, and they were a bit surprised. To Yihua, this Qing Tiandi is not bad. He has some brains. I can play with you a bit. Bullying you with my strength is nothing. After all, we are all people who use brains. This Qing Tiandi is a schemer, Qingya said gravely while hugging onto her son who was sleeping soundly. Donghuang Baiji was also hugging onto Ali, who was sleeping soundly, and said in a low voice, "That's right, you exchanged Xiaoyi for such a great value." Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up, then said faintly, "This Xiaoyi killed so many people, whoever acted to kill him would be a hero. Furthermore, the one who acted is an organization, and the one who instantly killed Xiaoyi is even more so an organization. Furthermore, this person's attitude is very good and down to earth. It would be weird if he didn't jump ship." Donghuang Baiji rolled her eyes at her husband. "Then why are you still making us wait? If Xiaoyi is killed by us, wouldn't Voidless Realm's reputation become even greater?" "That's right," Qingya said lightly. With regards to her husband, she was very confused. "Women, your hair is long but your knowledge is short," Yihua said indifferently. He was very pleased with himself. "I just like to bully my wife." Qingya and Donghuang Baiji immediately looked towards their husband. They seemed to be saying, "Try and teach us another lesson." Yihua stopped here and said softly, "If we were to make a move, then what reason would they have to make a move? If they want to become famous, then we will give them a chance. Moreover, I'm afraid that Sky Pillar doesn't just need these." "Then what does he want?" Qingya asked curiously. Yihua flicked away the ash on his cigarette, then took a puff and exhaled. The smoke lingered in the air, causing his two wives to wrinkle their brows. Some people like authority, some people like money, some people like supreme strength, and some people like to play. Hearing what her husband meant, Donghuang Baiji asked puzzledly, "What kind of person is Sky Pillar?" "Play." This was what Qingya felt. Yihua nodded his head. "And this kind of person likes to be in control of the entire situation. They like the feeling of having everything in their hands, and they feel that this kind of person is very smart." Qingya and Donghuang Baiji simultaneously looked towards Yihua, seemingly to be saying, "Isn't this you?" Cough, cough, cough. "What are you looking at? Be careful that I don't slap the two of you." Yihua's expression became stiff. "When a tiger doesn't show off, do you think that I am a sick cat? The two of you are very arrogant, and have even learned to talk back to me." The two women snorted and began to lecture Yihua again. Having a husband like this is also a kind of helplessness. "From the looks of it, hubby, you already have a plan?" Donghuang Baiji asked. Yihua extinguished the cigarette but, "Of course." "Tell us, let us listen to your plan." Qingya was very curious. She wanted to hear what kind of plan her husband had come up with. "Let nature take its course," Yihua said faintly, then stood up and walked back to his room to sleep, leaving his two wives to sit in the courtyard. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji went into a daze for a moment, then shouted out, "Yihua, will you die if you don't act cool?" "I will." At a remote mountainous area, smoke was currently emitting out from the chimney of a small thatched cottage. A change of clothes was hung on a rope outside the thatched cottage, and there were a few old hens inside the cage. The light in the small thatched cottage was still on. "My little darling, do you want to sleep?" Long Outyin could be seen leaning onto Meng Meng's stomach, wanting to listen to the child's voice. Meng Meng had been pregnant for around 6 months. During this period of time, Long Outyin had been taking care of his wife attentively, and didn't have any thoughts of going out. "Outyin, there are still a few more months," Meng Meng said happily. because she felt that Long Outyin didn't have any thoughts of going out. It seemed like he could stay here and accompany her. Long Outyin was very excited as he gestured with his hands. I am too excited. In a few more months, I will have a child, haha. Alright, don't be so excited every day. Meng Meng laughed lightly and stroked her sideburns. Long Outyin retracted his excited expression. I really want to tell the whole world about this and share the joy of this moment. But there are only us here. Meng Meng let out a breath. Long Outyin suddenly thought of something. There is one more. Is it that person who is chasing after you? Yesterday, on Chinese New Year's Eve, I asked you to come over and have a meal with me, but you didn't want to. In any case, that person has been chasing after you for half a year. Long Outyin. I will go out for a while first, I will be back soon. Be careful, if you can't win, just run back. Got it. Long Outyin ran madly. I haven't fought with that skeleton for a few months. I wonder if it is still there or not. I am coming. Long Outyin shouted out loudly. Swish. A black figure instantly appeared not far away from him. It was precisely Death Assassin. Death Assassin seemed to have been forgotten by everyone. Because Death Assassin had never completed this mission, he had always been guarding this place. Even on Chinese New Year's Eve, he was still leaning on a big tree and pondering about the future. Skeleton. My Dragon God technique is already at the 5th level. Today let us properly play. Long Outyin's body trembled, and a burst of spiritual energy suddenly burst out from his body. Death Assassin looked at Long Outyin indifferently and let out a breath. GGG. Imperial Translation. Why aren't you dead yet? Chapter 569. Death Mage was helpless and could only pull out his blade and attack. I'll dodge again. You can't hit me. This is the new clothes that Meng Meng gave me, bastard. Stop. I admit defeat, big brother. Don't mess around, we can talk about it. Actually, I came here today to chat with you. GGG. Imperial Translation. There's nothing to talk about. I can't kill you. I can only wait for you to die. After that, I can go back and report back. Seeing that the skeleton stopped attacking, Long Outyin let out a light sigh. In this godforsaken place, other than Meng Meng, there's only you. I can't even find someone to talk to. GGG. Imperial Translation. At least you have a woman to accompany you. I don't have anything at all. Long Outyin also felt that the skeleton wasn't here to kill him, but to trap him here. Thus, he wasn't that afraid. Sitting on the rock, he supported his back with both of his hands and looked at the starry sky. Let me tell you a good news. I'm going to be a father. Long Outyin said lightly. Death Assassin stood at the side and didn't speak. I still haven't thought of what to name my child. The name that Meng Meng thought of is too sissy. I feel that it should be more domineering. Skeleton. What do you think would be more domineering? That's right. You don't even know how to speak. Speaking of which, at least I have Meng Meng to accompany me. You don't even have anyone to accompany you. You are even more pitiful than me. Today is also the first day of Chinese New Year. Do you want to go to my house to eat something? I also have chicken drumsticks, how about it? Hearing that there wasn't any movement behind him, Long Outyin turned his head around and saw that Death Assassin was nowhere to be seen. Letting out a deep sigh, Long Outyin walked back to his house. Death Assassin, who was not far away, looked at Long Outyin's back view and slowly sat down. Leaning against a big tree, he looked at the boundless starry sky. When will it end? I really miss the days in the past. Long Outyin, who returned to the small thatched cottage, shook his head. Outyin, that assassin isn't coming? Meng Meng asked. He might feel embarrassed. Meng Meng nodded her head. He is too pitiful. He has been guarding you for more than half a year, and he doesn't even have anyone to talk to. Yeah, forget it. Let's not talk about him. Let's go to sleep. Long Outyin's state of mind had indeed changed a lot. He was no longer as impetuous as he used to be. He had become more down to earth, and the idea of having multiple wives and concubines had disappeared with the birth of his child. His current life was the real deal. If Xiao Yi had the same thoughts as Long Aotian, he wouldn't have died so miserably. This Long Aotian was a big winner in life. He had a wife and a child, and he even had Death Mage as his sparring partner. However, if he wanted to leave the mountain, he would have to defeat the Death Mage first. However, being able to defeat the Death Mage, this Long Outyin was already very awesome. In the God's Realm's heavenly palace, two men dressed in ordinary clothes were walking on a lifeless street. Some of the shop doors were still open, but they were already covered in dust. A few months ago, this was a bustling street, but now it had become like this. Chief Steward Su, where do you think everyone is? Beside him was a man of medium build. His name was Wang Hong, and in front of him was Lingdu's inner minister, Su Shen. Su Shen silently sized them up. His expression was very grave. This battle should have happened outside the city, but the terrain outside the city had already changed beyond recognition. This should be a very powerful sovereign. Seeing that Chief Steward did not say anything, Wang Hong said again. Even if these people died, they should have left behind a trace of blood. Chief Steward, look, even the teacups are still there. Could it be that they evaporated? Actually, the two of them had already been in Heavenly Palace for a few days, and they had been collecting evidence. However, they did not manage to find anything. It seems like all the evidence had been erased. If there is no evidence to bring back this time, I'm afraid it will be hard to explain to Spirit Emperor. Su Shen lightly sighed. This time, Spirit Emperor had given a death order. They must definitely find out the cause of this matter. It would be good if there was a person involved. This group of people really did not let a single one of them off. They are trying to silence them. Wang Hong could not bear to see this. This imperial city has at least a few million people. This is too vicious. Indeed, extremely vicious. Su Shen nodded his head in agreement. Oh right, Chief Steward Su, these few days I also discovered a very strange matter. What matter? Chief Steward Su, please follow me. The two of them flew towards the horizon, heading towards the outside of the city. Chief Steward Su, look at this trace of fire coming from the horizon. Wang Hong said as he pointed towards the horizon. Didn't we already discuss this matter? It is the Inferno Abyssal Dragon. Su Shen said doubtfully. Wang Hong said gravely. That's right, it is indeed the Inferno Abyssal Dragon. But Chief Steward Su, look at the trace. I'm afraid that there is more than one of them. More than one? What proof do you have? Chief Steward Su, look below. Although there are a lot of cracks, look at those claw marks. Su Shen's gaze narrowed, and he flew down with Wang Hong. This. Su Shen tightly knitted his brows. He was very puzzled. Wang Hong said gravely, Chief Steward Su, I am also very puzzled. The posture of the Inferno Abyssal Dragon is simply too strange. From the angle of the claw marks, and the number of them, there are a total of 3 of them, but they seem to be surrounding each other. Su Shen added. Wang Hong nodded his head. Then here comes the question. Why are the 3 Inferno Abyssal Dragons surrounding each other? Chief Steward Su, the origin of this Inferno Abyssal Dragon is not small. It is a prehistoric beast. Even an overlord can't do anything to it, let alone a deity from a small place like this. But the strange thing is, the Inferno Abyssal Dragon only seems to be standing here, and did not participate in the battle. Wang Hong was very vexed. He was unable to figure out the reason no matter how hard he racked his brains. The person who is able to control 3 Inferno Abyssal Dragons must be very powerful. As for why the Inferno Abyssal Dragons did not participate in the battle, it should be because they were called over to intimidate. As for why they are surrounding each other, I really have no idea. Su Shen shook his head. This question was too hard to figure out. Chief Steward Su, this overlord is most likely very powerful. We should immediately go back and report to Spirit Emperor. We must not provoke him. 3 Inferno Abyssal Dragons are completely capable of destroying the entire Spirit City, unless over 10 overlords come to suppress him together. Hearing that, Su Shen sunk into contemplation. Right now, I can only go back and report to Spirit Emperor that this overlord is very powerful, able to even call over the Inferno Abyssal Dragons. But just which overlord is this powerful? A beep suddenly rang out. Su Shen took out the jade slip and looked at it. His face was instantly filled with shock and even fear. Chief Steward Su, what happened? Seeing Chief Steward Su's expression, Wang Hong definitely knew that something big had happened. Su Shen put away the jade slip and said in a deep voice, Supreme Fa Lien was killed. His void land was also burned by a fire, and it was Sun Meteorite Heavenly Fire. Sun Meteorite Heavenly Fire? Isn't that Supreme Yuan Yang's ultimate move? Wang Hong was also shocked. Supreme Yuan Yang killed Supreme Fa Lien? Oh my god. How is this possible? Chapter 570. Yihua wouldn't release Sun Meteorite Heavenly Fire for no reason. In actuality, he could have directly killed Sovereign Fa Lien, and Sun Meteorite Heavenly Fire was meant to frame him. After all, Sun Meteorite Heavenly Fire was one of a kind. Even if that Sovereign Yuan Yang had more than 10 mouths, he wouldn't be able to explain it clearly. We have to quickly return to Lingdu. Something big is going to happen. Su Shen's expression tensed up. Sovereign killing sovereigns is incredible. If the sovereign's nature is bad, then everyone will be killed, just like that battle 5 years ago. The two didn't think too much and immediately disappeared from where they stood. A conspiracy that came from Yihua is going to attack God's realm. Framing others, Yihua is playing very well right now. On the morning of the second day of Chinese New Year, Yihua heard the report from Brett. I didn't expect that Voidless Realm's target is actually Voidless Realm. Interesting, what a bold idea. Toward such a matter, Yihua wished for them to come earlier, but he felt that they might not be able to come. Should I give them some motivation? Yihua, let's go. Qingye carried her son and walked over. To where? Of course to go to my father-in-law's place. Aren't we supposed to return to our parents' place on the second day of Chinese New Year? To be honest, Yihua didn't want to go to his father-in-law's place at all. Looking at her husband's unwilling look, Qingye still doesn't know that Yihua's identity is right there. Even I can't do anything about it. But no matter what, they are still my parents. Yihua, I am just going to take a seat. There is no need for you to give me a red packet. Yihua, is this a problem with the red packet? Do I look like such a petty person? Hubby, Qingye begged. Speaking of which, my parents have only met Yihua once, and that time was very unpleasant. Now that the child has already been born, there shouldn't be anything to say, right? Go. Yihua said gravely. This human custom is truly troublesome. After Baiji's child is born, I will consider going back too. So obedient, let me reward you. Qingye kissed Yihua. However, Yihua didn't just want to kiss her. The little fellow laid in his mother's embrace and looked at his parents' actions with his big eyes filled with curiosity. The two of them returned to Leisure Bar and woke up Qin Yutong, who was sleeping soundly. Going back to Leisure Bar by plane was a bit slow, so it was better to directly return to Leisure Bar. I am my little nephew, let Aunt hug you. You're so handsome. Qin Yutong carried Yi Yin into her bosom, and the little fellow was a little unhappy because this aunt of his keeps pinching his face. So Yi Yin reached out to his mother and squeaked. Little guy, you're not even willing to let your aunt hug you. Be careful that you don't get a girlfriend in the future. When Yi Yin saw how fierce his aunt was, he immediately burst into tears. Qingye took a glare at her little sister, then hugged onto her son and coaxed him. Yihua, who was at the side, said gravely, "What are boys crying for? If I see you cry again, I'll lock you up." Yi Yin immediately stopped crying, but he did not dare to look at his father. I have only been out for a day, and I don't even have the right to cry anymore. She felt that her father was super nice to her sister, but he was extremely fierce to her. It was as if she was a gift for topping up her phone. Yihua, it hasn't even been 2 days since Yan arrived, can't you speak properly? Qingye was trying her best to protect her son, not letting Yihua bully her son. The little fellow needs to be educated since he was young. That doesn't mean that he should be taught like this. Can't he be a little more patient? Qingye persuaded, hoping that Yihua would not be so fierce towards his son. Yihua was angry towards his son. After all, the main culprit that scared Yihua quite badly that night was this little fellow. Qin Yutong did not say anything at the side. It is better for me to not interrupt this kind of topic. Arriving at the door of his father-in-law's house, Yihua was empty-handed. He did not bring anything with him. I, the Supreme Overlord, have already given enough face by coming here. And you still want to bring things? I, the Supreme Overlord, have never brought anything with me. A few gift boxes could be seen appearing in Qingya's hands. Yihua, take them. Qing Yutong, who was at the side, said, Brother-in-law, just take them and put them in, just put them in. Yihua felt that he was going to go crazy. Baiji is still the best. She doesn't even have any elders. Taking a deep breath, Yihua said gravely, just this once. All right, just this once. Qingya spoiled Yihua. If it was any other woman, they would have already gotten angry at him. Holding on to the gift boxes with both hands, Qing Yutong pressed on the doorbell. The one who came out to open the door was still Uncle Fu. The two misses have returned. Mr. is also back. Is this the young master? When Uncle Fu saw Yi Yan, he cried out in surprise. Qingya laughed. Uncle Fu, Happy New Year, this is my son Yi Yan. It really is the young master. Quickly come in. The madams will definitely be very happy. Because Qingya was carrying the child, Qing Yutong prepared slippers for brother-in-law. This scene made Uncle Fu recall the scene from that day. Just that, he became the second miss. How can this man be so awesome? Yihua, who was holding on to the gift boxes, followed behind, appearing a bit unnatural. Walking into the living room, Qing Huaxian saw that his two daughters had returned, and he was happy in his heart. However, when he saw Yihua, who was at the back, that happy expression of his immediately collapsed. Seeing Qing Huaxuan's attitude, Yihua did not pay attention to him. This is? Zihan suddenly stood up and looked at the child who was in her daughter's embrace. With a smile on her face, Qingya said, Mom, this is my son Yi Yan. Aya, quickly let Mom take a look. You already gave birth to the child. Why didn't you give us a call? Zihan carefully took over Yi Yan. However, not long later, Yi Yan started crying loudly. That heart-wrenching cry was as if he was going to die soon. Wang Muqing, who was at the side, took over Yi Yan and tried, but who knew that it was also useless. In the end, Wang Muqing still handed Yi Yan over to Qingya. Just when Yi Yan entered Qingya's embrace, he instantly stopped crying. Yihua looked at his son's gaze and praised. Brat, you did well. Seeing his father's praising gaze, the corner of the little fellow's mouth curved up. Then, he hid in his mother's embrace and refused to come out, because his mother's embrace was too warm. Qing Huaxian looked at the gift box in Yihua's hand, and was also filled with disdain. My Qing family is no longer the same as before. Right now, I am also a reputable person in Zijin City. Back then when I went to see the Empress, everything that I did after that was smooth sailing. As for Qingya, her change was really too big. No one knew that she was Qing Huaxuan's daughter, and furthermore, both father and daughter did not appear in public at the same time, so no one knew at all. If other people were to know that Qingya's father was Qing Huaxian, that would really be terrible. Qing Huaxuan's vanity would definitely go berserk. Chapter 571. Yihua sit. Qingya said softly. Seeing that her husband's expression was not very good, she reckoned that it was because of her father. Her father did not know of Yihua's identity and thought that he was just a bar's boss. It was unavoidable for him to look down on Yihua. After all, I am too perfect, I am so beautiful, and I am also so rich, so beauty is also a kind of sin. If not for giving face to his wife and sister-in-law, just by looking at Qing Huaxuan's expression, Yihua would have already turned around and left. When have I, the Supreme Overlord, been looked down upon like this? Which one of them wasn't trembling in fear under my feet? Slowly sitting down, Yihua still did not say a word. This caused Qing Huaxian and the others to be very unhappy. At least greet him. From the moment he walked in, he did not speak. How can this be? Could it be that you are waiting for the elders to greet you? Qing Huaxian must let this man know that Qing family is very powerful right now. Xiaoyi, are you still running a bar? Qing Huaxian leaned on the comfortable sofa and asked curiously. Xiaoyi? Yihua was immediately stupefied. Qingya and Qing Yutong were also extremely shocked. A supreme overlord was actually called Xiaoyi by an ordinary person. This is something that has never happened before. Right now, Yihua felt as if he was going to explode. If not for Qingya's father, this person would have already disappeared by now. To actually be so rude to me. Xiaoyi. Yihua was so angry that he almost suffered an internal injury. Qingya, who was at the side, secretly held on to Yihua's hand. Don't be angry, father didn't do it on purpose. With his wife's consolation, Yihua felt a bit better. Seeing that Yihua's expression was very bad, Qing Huaxian was very satisfied. Compared to my Qing family, that little bar of yours is really nothing. I can make you close down in just a few minutes. Xiaoyi, business is not good these days. How much money can a bar earn? If you really can't do it, you can go and help out at Qingya's company. Qing Huaxian said very seriously. Now that I already have a child, there is no other way. Although this man is a bit lacking, if I teach him properly, he will still have a future. Luckily, Qing Huaxian did not say such words. If not, Yihua would definitely explode. However, it is more or less the same now. To actually say that I can earn a bit of money, and even want me to go and work at my wife's company. Dad, it is quite good for Yihua to open a bar. There is no need for that. Qingya hurriedly mediated the situation and told her dad to stop talking about it. If not, Yihua would definitely quarrel with her. But how could Qing Huaxian understand his daughter's meaning? Furthermore, seeing how his daughter was defending a man like this, he became even angrier. Xiaoyi, life is not that easy. There are a lot of things that young people like you two simply do not understand. This world is also not as simple as the two of you think. After finished speaking, Qing Huaxian actually displayed the sitting posture of a big shot. Why does Yihua feel that this sitting posture is very similar to mine? When Qing Yutong heard what her father said, she had a hard time enduring it. Father is actually acting cool in front of brother-in-law, ha ha ha. It was too funny. Qingya also had a helpless look on her face. What should I do now? My father is actually getting complacent. Suddenly, an idea came to Qingya's mind. As long as I coax Yihua, everything will be fine. Thus, Qingya secretly sent a message to Yihua. What? Yihua asked coldly. Hubby, don't be angry, my dad didn't do it on purpose. Qingya pleaded. Yihua snorted. If it was on purpose, I, the Supreme Overlord, would have flipped out long ago. Hubby, don't be angry, I will properly serve you tonight. What else could Qingya do? She could only give Yihua what he wanted the most. As expected, after hearing Qingya's promise, Yihua's anger dissipated by quite a bit. Any position is fine? And as long as you don't get angry, it's up to you. All right, you are the one who said it. And I said it. Qingya was helpless. However, it is fine as long as I coax my husband. Ever since Donghuang Baiji announced that she was pregnant, Yihua had been living a simple life, which was too horrible to look at. Right now, Qingya took the initiative to woo him, causing Yihua's mood to become very good. The gaze that Yihua looked at Qing Huaxian with also became a lot friendlier, seemingly saying, your daughter is not bad, to be able to serve me very comfortably. Oh, is there anything else that I don't know? Yihua began asking along with Qing Huaxian's words. To act cool in front of me. Only you are still alive. Qing Huaxian laughed, seemingly laughing at Yihua's ignorance. However, the current Yihua didn't care about it, he just wished for this night to arrive faster. I have endured for more than a month, and I am already about to explode. There are some things that are useless even if I tell you. I am afraid of scaring you youngsters. Qing Yutong finally couldn't take it anymore, and laughed out loud while hugging onto her stomach. Dad, can you not be so funny? Don't you know that boasting in front of the Supreme Overlord is very embarrassing? Qingya also laughed out loud. It's fine if my husband likes to act cool, but now, even my father has fallen in love with him. I hope that my son doesn't have to study and just become a scientist in the future. Wang Muqing patted onto her daughter petulantly. Yutong, what are you laughing at when your father is talking to you? Nothing much. I just thought of a very funny thing and couldn't help but laugh. While speaking, Qing Yutong laughed even louder. However, in Qing Huaxian's eyes, Qing Yutong's smile looked as if Qing Yutong did not believe in him, and Qing Yutong felt as if he was lying to them. Yihua said faintly, I have never been scared before. Why don't you tell me if you are able to scare me or not? Alright. Then, I shall let you youngsters gain some experience. Qing Huashuan's eyebrows straightened as he shouted out solemnly. This caused Qing Yutong to laugh to the point that she couldn't breathe. Yutong, you are too impolite. Wang Muqing lectured her own daughter. Qing Yutong finally couldn't hold it in anymore, and was prepared to listen to how her father was going to scare people. Qing Huaxian glared at his daughter, then said gravely, "In this world, there is a group of people who know magic, formidable, right? The kind that can fly to the sky and dive into the earth, hee." Looking at Qing Huashuan's serious look, Yihua and the others were a bit surprised. Such a small matter, and it was turned into a big matter by your expression, not bad. Qing Huaxian was very satisfied with this expression. It seems like my words had already subdued these youngsters. Just this north of mine, there are a lot of powers that exist. My Qing family can also be considered as a mainstay. This time, even Qingya started laughing out loud. Seeing that her big sister couldn't hold it in anymore, Qing Yutong also started laughing out loud. Dad is too good at acting. When did Qing family become a mainstay? You must be lying to a child. This is too exaggerated, right? Right now, Qing family can basically not be counted as a family at all, because Qing Huaxian doesn't know anything, thus he can't be selected. Looking at the attitude of his two daughters, Qing Huaxian was very angry and said gravely, "Do you guys know? I am the strongest person that I have ever seen in the north. Empress. Do you know what is an empress? She controls the entire north's powers, and with a single sentence, she is able to change a person's fate. What do you youngsters know? Ha 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 ha." Asking for tickets. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.